It's Lions time. Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. PrideofDetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook, where we try new intros all the time now, because that's just what we are. It's a new season. It's new us. We're all in here. We're in our best attire. We're here to talk about not quite the best team, but the best team in our hearts, the Detroit Lions, and everything that comes with that as the NFL draft nears closer and closer. Welcome into another edition of the Pride of Detroit PODcast, where you can download it from Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart, and you can watch live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit, and on YouTube, search for Pride of Detroit. Before we begin, we have a promotion going on, shall we say. First, I am Chris Perfett, your adequate host, and as now dubbed by Jamal Williams, the Purring Ferret. And find me on Twitter at Chris Perfett, P-E-R-F-E-T-T. Jeremy Reisman, fearless leader. Jamal called him Caterpillar Lips. He's here, the fearless mustache at Detroit Online. And Jeremy, before we begin, this is for our Twitch audience. Why don't you tell them what's happening? Because the mustache is hitting its crescendo.
Yeah. Well, so we are running a promotion, as you said. Someone on Twitter just straight out of the blue asked me if I would dye my mustache blue for the NFL draft. I'm like, no, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. Why would I want to do that? And then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? We've been having fun with the mustache. How about we go out on a high note? If during this podcast we hit 500 subs, and I mean 500 on the stream alone, not 500 total in combined with the ones that we had before, 500 just during this block, I will dye my mustache blue for the NFL draft, and then we will bid it adieu after the draft. Otherwise, you guys are going to have to 200 during this Twitch stream to keep it, and then 400 during next Twitch stream to keep it next week. That's 600 alone, so you get a discount right now. Keep it until the draft if you get 500 today, and then we'll have it for the draft blue, and then bid it adieu until next time.
Well, Jeremy, you say that now, and already so if you're listening on the podcast recorded, A, this doesn't apply to you, but B, if you're listening live, you probably didn't hear what Jeremy said, because as he was delivering that, the stream was exploding with lion roars and goal horns, because we already got 40 Twitch subs.
Yeah, I'm not sure
40 out of 500 right now.
It's not updating correctly on our little counter on screen for some reason, but I will make sure. It takes a little bit of time. I will make sure it's right.
Yeah, we're at I think 41 now. But let's bring in our third man, rotating in for Ryan Matthews, Clay Matthews' brother. He is off today. And we're bringing in I don't want to. I need a good nickname for him, but I don't want to do the thing where we go on his face or his voice, because he's awesome. John Whitaker, our resident Canadian, is here. Hello, John.
Hello. Good to hear from you guys.
You are the QB enjoyer of the PODcast.
Indeed, I am. One thing that I do kind of wish I was on that Jamal Williams podcast, because I'd be really curious to see what he would have called me.
I don't. If you haven't listened to the Jamal Williams podcast, by the way, people, you should go listen to it. Also, over the weekend, the Brett Whitefield a podcast dropped. They talked with the draft with the guys talked about the draft with him, and we also dropped another locker room Q&A session. We've had a very busy week here. I know those locker room Q&As. A lot of people are having a lot of fun on the locker room app talking with us, but as I should not back end what we're going to talk about. I should go right into it, because I can see Jeremy's already seeing the subs flying in, and he's going to lose it. I'm
a little nervous. I'm not going to lie.
Happy 420.
Starting to form on his brow there.
Happy 420, folks. So what we've spent a lot of time this past month looking at just the first round of the NFL draft, Jeremy.
Yep.
And rightly so. The Lions get to pick top 10. That's exciting. That's cool. That's awesome. They can do a lot there. But I think today we're going to try to expand our horizons out a little further as we look at positional value in this NFL draft, which includes also looking at day 2, which is going to be rounds 2 and 3. We're not looking much at day 3 talent because A, it's a crapshoot. None of us really know the names. And B, the Lions don't have any much on, don't have, like, they just have what, a fourth and a fifth, Jeremy? Is that right?
Yeah. They got a first, a second, 2/3, a fourth, and a fifth at the moment. But obviously a trade down could happen and change all that.
Right. But the point is that
Yeah.
most of the Lions picks, and you're going to get more of your supposed starters or guys who can develop into starters from day 2. So we're going to look at that in the sense of we want to look at each of these positions. Should you be targeting them just on day 1? If it hits day 2, do you forget about the position or do you keep pursuing it? How much value is there? And maybe some names in the day 2 pool that you haven't really seen so far, that we haven't really talked so much about before, but we have been doing on Twitch these mock drafts. And I think it's helped us kind of familiarize ourselves a little more with those names too. So we'll give you a few names. I know the draft isn't too much of Jeremy's specialty, but I know we try to, we got to be good at everything around here.
Got to put in the work.
And we have been, and you have been, Jeremy. You've been doing the work.
I've been trying.
As the work with the mustache.
Yes, sure.
All right. So that's where we're going to start. So I think there's a debate to be had later on, and we'll end the show with it about how much of this do you want to be drafting by position versus best player available. I think there are certain cutoffs that do come, but we're going to start with one position that could come day 1 or could come later, and that's wide receiver. So I think we've talked about this before, guys. This is a very deep draft for wide receiver. Value, however, does drop off, I believe, after round 3. But where the Lions are right now, there's going to be 2, maybe 3 excellent receivers there. And maybe some tight end prospects. Maybe a tight end that's masquerading as a wide receiver or vice versa. And plenty of names on day 2. So, John, just where do you put the priority for yourself on wide receiver? Do you feel like if the Lions don't get like a Jamarcus Chase or a Jalen Waddle that you should just skip it on day 2, or are you still looking for wide receivers?
I put out a question of the day a few days ago, and it was essentially asking what positions the Lions should double down on. And I mentioned that not only do I think the Lions need to draft a receiver, I think they are very much in the market for drafting 2 receivers. I think really in looking at the board, the only guy who they have on a multi-year contract is Quintus Cephas, I believe.
Yep.
And the rest of them, they're guys, maybe they're coming on essentially prove-it contracts, see what they can do with the new offense. And there's really no future depth. And honestly, I'm not super excited about Quintus Cephas either. So for a long time, I've been petitioning for, wide receiver / Kyle Pitts in the first round. But even in the second or third round, I wouldn't rule out taking another receiver because I really think in today's NFL, that's very passing orientated. You can't go wrong with having enough targets.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Even if they draft, if they don't draft a guy at 7, a wide receiver, or tight end, or whoever, I think wide receiver jumps to the top of the needs list in day 2, and that's where value I think meets need, especially. But I'm with you also, John. If they get a Jamar Chase, if they get a Jalen Waddle, if they get anyone, any one of those wide receivers in the top. Maybe going back to back is a little bit of overkill, but it's certainly still on the board, and something that should be taken under consideration with either their first or second, third round pick, or when we get into day 3 as well. And I think part of it is, like you said, Chris, this is just a very deep class where you can get talented and especially speedy guys. There are a lot of speedy guys in this year's class, and we know that's what the Lions are looking for. So I definitely think wide receiver is going to be a need on day 2, no matter what they do in day 1.
Yeah, I would even say, because maybe of the depth, this is, I think I've talked about it before, but I've put my cards on the table that I want to see Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater probably taken by the Lions. Or maybe, if Kyle Pitts is there, obviously you go for him, but it sounds like Kyle Pitts is locking in right now, as he's not going to get past 5. As much as I think Ryan would like that, I don't know, maybe I'm too in tune with sports media right now, but everyone is falling in love with Kyle Pitts. The secret's out about Kyle Pitts. The secret is absolutely out about Kyle Pitts, but I think just because the names we could see on day 2, I would almost say I want to skip wide receiver on day 1, unless Jamarcus Chase is there. If it's Waddle and you've got a tackle on the board like Slater, I'd rather go Slater. because there are names like, when we haven't talked enough about him, be it Rondale Moore out of Purdue, who fits that speedy profile you're talking about, or the other receiver out of LSU, be it Terrace Marshall Jr., who is almost as fantastic. Tudu Atwell out of Louisville, who is starting to turn a few heads, I believe, but still a rather unknown name. But this is just what I'm talking about. Like, you mentioned it, Jeremy. You've got that extra pick in the third round, so you're going to be guaranteed to get someone really good. I think the question is, and I think you guys brought it up, is are the Lions going to maybe need two?
Yeah, and I mean, I also think the question is, what kind of, are you looking for a number 2 receiver? Are you looking for a slot receiver? Are you looking for a bona fide number 1 receiver? Mm-hmm. The Lions could really use all of those, right? Like, there's no limit. That as we've been saying, there's no long-term plan at wide receiver at all right now. And so the Lions don't need to be picky about a specific kind of receiver that they want. So if the opportunity presents itself to get a bona fide number 1 receiver with that 7th pick, you get him. And then if the opportunity later, there's a good slot guy, go get a good slot guy. I see what you're saying about, maybe passing up on a wide receiver early because you can get one later, but I don't think you can get a bona fide number 1 later. I think you're looking at it. Agree with that. Yeah, I think you're looking at the same position, but a different part on the depth chart. You're looking at either a wide receiver 2 or a slot receiver. So I think wide receiver is up there on the needs at every round, which is why, double dip, whatever. But John, is there any? Let's talk about some of the day 2, day 3 guys. These guys that probably aren't your wide receiver number 1s. Who are you looking for maybe on either round 2, round 3, round 4, or even deeper than that?
Yeah, the day 2 and day 3 is when it really gets interesting for the Lions, because I think like right now, people we've kind of penciled in as like first round talents, more so they're going to be outside guys. But even if they go for one of them or pass altogether, there's a lot of different options. So like one guy that I think a lot of people in our audience probably going to know about is Nico Collins, the wide receiver from Michigan.
Yep.
He tested very well athletically, and he's one of those guys who didn't have that great of numbers at college, but I think he. Michigan fans could probably say they probably didn't have very good quarterbacking either. He's a guy with, I think, a lot of potential ahead of him. And honestly, I almost see a little bit of Kenny Galladay in him. He's not a burner. He did run decently, but he doesn't always show up in film. But I think he has a pretty good athletic profile to work with.
Yeah, I like Nico Collins. I was listening to a conversation about when it comes to, when you get a guy from a big school who's already kind of played the top level, you know what you're getting already. I feel like you mentioned the quarterback there, because he had played with limitations at Michigan, and because Michigan wasn't that, didn't really highlight him or really showcase him too well this year. Like, there is still some upside there, like that he could even be better at the pros if he has that second level that we're talking about. So that would be someone very good that I could see targeted for sure.
I mean, another guy we haven't talked about, and we talked about it a little bit with, I know Ryan's a big fan, De'Ami Brown out of North Carolina. The interesting thing about him is Eric Schlitt, our I would say our draft expert, not officially our draft expert, but a draft expert. He compares him to Marvin Jones. And so if the Lions want a guy, a number 2 receiver on day 2 that can play the outside, and I think it might be a little bit tougher to find that outside receiver in day 2 and day 3. So De'Ami Brown's one of those interesting guys, but he's also capable of playing the slot. He ran a 4.4, I think a 4.44 40 times. So he's definitely got the speed. Maybe capable of getting a little more separation than Marvin Jones, but also capable of making those contested catches.
Boy, I'll give you one more name then. Kadarius Toney, who I know some people said he could find his way back up into the first round.
Sure.
Like, you want to talk about big plays. He can make big plays.
Yep.
I know people say he has an injury history, and that's probably what might cause him to fall, if anything else. But if the Lions could land a guy like Kadarius Toney, you want to talk about getting a weapon for Goff and or whoever the next quarterback is, like, and he pans out for you. That's again, that could be a steal in the second round if he's there.
Yep, and that's one of the biggest thing about going for wide receiver in the second round, because I think we can all agree that the offensive line talent at the top of the draft is pretty good. Even being able to pick on early day 2, I think you can still get some pretty good receivers, and maybe some that slide too. Maybe a guy like Rashad Bateman falls. if he's on the table, I think that's still a guy who can be a bona fide number one.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't want to trigger Jeremy with this position too much. I do have running back written down here, though. You just take the floor, Jeremy.
Well, okay, so it's not a need obviously for the top 3 spots. I mean, it shouldn't be. I mean, there's always talk about maybe moving Carry On, but I don't think that's in the plans right now. I think they're set with Williams and Swift and Johnson, but they don't have much beyond there. I don't know if they theoretically really have anything beyond that in terms of their depth chart there. So it's a day 3 option. I will say that. I don't really think it makes sense to tackle anyone on day 2 in the second round or the third round. That seems like a very big waste of resources at this point. But take a shot at a guy in day 3. I mean, the Lions did it last year with Jason Huntley. Get a speedy guy. Get someone out there that can play special teams. Maybe compete for your kick return job that's now gone because Jamal Agnew is gone. So I have one guy written down, and he's from Iowa State, Matt Campbell, former Lions head coaching candidate, maybe, question mark. Kene Nwangu out of Iowa State. He was their backup running back, so he didn't get a lot of actual plays. Stats aren't very impressive on offense, but he was a fantastic kick returner. And I think he ran a sub 4.340. So super fast guy. You're just basically betting on athleticism. If you want to take a flyer on him in the 5th round, totally down with that. Let's try to find a Jamal Agnew replacement, and I think that's a great place to start.
Sounds good. I like it. We'll run away from running back very quickly to another one that I'm kind of rolling my eyes on, but I know it's John's realm and his favorite stalking horse, so I'll give quarterback over to John. And I guess the question is, John, because you have been chief advocate number 1 for Lions taking a quarterback. Is that something you are only doing on day 1, or are there any names you could see on day 2 that you might be able to live with, even if it's just like a project to maybe replace Jared Goff in like a year or 2?
When it comes to quarterbacks, for me, it's Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and then I don't want to touch anybody else. Yes, even Mac Jones. For me, a lot of times in the NFL draft, you'll have some guys who are, good athletes or whatnot. Maybe they're essentially just some rough projects that you can maybe eventually groom into either backup or on the rare chance of starter. This year doesn't really have any of those guys. Essentially,
not even a Kyle Trask.
Yeah, I'll pass. Thank you very much. No thanks for that.
Okay.
Essentially, guys who get thrown around a lot are Kellen Mond. I've seen some people say he might sneak into the first, which to me is almost insane. And Jamie Newman is another guy. But overall, you're not really going to get a guy that I see you can groom into a starter, someone who can push Jared Goff. For me, when it comes to quarterback, is essentially you're going to take him at 7 or even earlier. They opt to trade up, or that's about it. I don't really want to get a backup caliber guy later on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I'm 100% with you. I mean, there's really no room on this roster for a developmental quarterback. They've got Tim Boyle, they've got David Blau. Both of those guys are under 27. So like, if there is a developmental project happening, let's just try with the guys we got. There's definitely no one that beyond those top 5 quarterbacks, if we're even throwing Mac Jones in there, that I think can really challenge for a full-time starting gig in the NFL. There just isn't. I mean, maybe someone surprises, but I think everyone is pretty much on board with those top 5 guys have a real chance to be great guys. Everyone else is fighting for backup positions in the NFL, and the Lions aren't in the market for that. So I'll quabble with you a little bit on the first round, but I'm not 100% against the Lions taking a quarterback in the first round. I don't think they will, but I'm right there with you, lock and step, that there's just no reason for them to draft a quarterback after day 1.
Yeah, and again, to the point, like once you get past those big names, like I just mentioned Kyle Trask kind of flippantly, but like besides him and maybe Peyton Ramsey, and Ramsey is totally a guy who needs would be a developmental guy. I think Kellen Mond is potentially a developmental guy too. He's shown some improvement as far as his accuracy, but he's still pretty inconsistent. He would have to really put it together in the NFL to be worth any kind of day 2 pick that you would invest in him. So I've been of the opinion that the Lions, just unless they have a gift from the gods where Justin Fields drops into their lap, they should just punt on the idea of quarterback entirely this year. But
Yep,
I know
go big or go home.
Yeah, go big or go home. People are like, well, if there's a quarterback there, just draft him and see what happens. Sorry, that's what the Browns were doing for years. I'm good with I'm good not trying to not follow the example of the Browns. I'm sorry.
No, thank you. I don't want another Brandon Whedon.
Oh,
Brad Kaya,
Tim Couch,
Jake Rudock.
Oh man. Oh God.
I don't like this. I don't like this discussion.
I don't like this game. All right, real quick before let's do a palate cleanser before we move on to the next break. But to finish up the offensive side of the ball, O-line. Again, I am pounding the hell out of the table for day one to be the O-line, be it Rashad Slater or a Penei Sewell. However, there are some good options in day two. So if the Lions decide they want a wide receiver, or they get Kyle Pitts, or God forbid they get like a Justin Fields, you're not SOL in my book. You've got plenty of. I just realized I said SOL. I didn't mean same old Lions. I meant the other definition of SOL. You know what I mean. You're out of luck. But I mean, there's some good tackles on day two, be it Sam Cosmi out of Texas or Spencer Brown out of Northern Iowa. Spencer Brown really interests me as far as a guy who could be there for day two, because he's from a smaller school, which I was listening to a bit with Jimmy Johnson. And again, he argued that the cool thing about guys from smaller schools is that because they haven't really played on, an Alabama and have that kind of competition, there is some risk that it's kind of a small fish out of water, but there's also a better potential that they just haven't hit their ceiling yet, that there's more to it. So someone like Spencer Brown, who has turned eyes and has people's attention being an FCS tackle, really interests me. And I think, Jeremy, day two is also where you would start to see some guards come off the board too.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this, I think, on the locker room app. Historically speaking, the third round is the money spot for offensive guards. Historically speaking, that's where you get the most value out of your pick. It certainly speaks to the Lions' history at the position. They've gotten starters at the position and immediate starters. You can get immediate starters at guard in that third round more so than any other position. And I don't think this year's class is going to be any different. You look at some of the guys that are projected to go around there: Creed Humphrey from Oklahoma, Jackson Carman, Josh Myers out of Ohio State, a center prospect who can probably play the guard positions as well.
Other guard out of Ohio State too, Wyatt Davis, could probably be seen day two.
He's definitely going to be a day two guy. You might have to take him over there at 41 if you're the Lions. But all those are certainly in play. There are a bunch of offensive tackles that people project to maybe be on the inside as well, whether it's, Liam Eichenberg, Alex Leatherwood, guys like that who mostly played tackle at college, but size and other concerns have them as guards. I think I'd be surprised if they didn't take an offensive lineman in day two, unless they take one in day one. I think the value's there. Obviously, the need is there because the Lions, we don't know what they're doing on the right side of the offensive line. Halapuli Vaitai is the moving piece here. A couple weeks ago, the coaching staff said they had interest in sliding him over to guard. If that's the case, maybe they're looking at an offensive tackle. If they decide they don't like what they have at tackle or at guard, maybe they move him to tackle and guards in play. The point being, at this point, there's not a long-term plan there. Vaitai might not be in their long-term plans. Tyler Crosby's on a contract here. Again, no long-term plan on the right side of that offensive line, so they can be a little bit flexible with what position they go with. And I think day two is a perfect spot to tackle this position.
Any thoughts, John?
Yeah, I was going to mention that the thing that I feel like has been getting ignored a lot about the Lions' offensive line is Logan Stenberg.
Sure.
I know he was brought in as a very raw player coming out of Kentucky. But the Lions did spend a fourth-round pick on him, and I know that there has been a changing of the guard with new coaches coming in. But the one coach who has remained has been their offensive line coach.
Yep.
And I'm curious to see how much of a leg up that gives him on A, making the roster, and B, eventually even winning that spot. Because I think for a lot of us, when they drafted Jonah Jackson and Logan Stenberg, I think a lot of people saw Jackson immediately stepping into the role, which he did pretty well. And I think people saw Stenberg jumping into that role in the second year. And I'm hoping he makes that step. But unfortunately, in his rookie season, I don't think did he see the field? Maybe for like 3 snaps or something.
Yeah,
it wasn't a lot. So it's a big question mark. But it's something that kind of makes me want to hold off on drafting a mid-round guard just because I want to see what we got with him.
Yeah. By the way, I just had to go look it up. Going back, just kind of bring it full circle. I did look up Spencer Brown, and our good friend Kent Lee Platty gave him a 9.99 on his RAS. So
pretty athletic, I would say. Then
pretty damn athletic. Yeah,
he went down. He was a 10 for a little bit there.
Was he? Oh no, he lost 1/100th of a percentile. We got to. Oh no. Undraftable now. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. The alerts have been insane already, and I know Jeremy wants to address them. And then when we come back, if you're listening on the POD cast, we are going to address the defensive side of the ball. We've gone through all of the offense, and now I think this is where the money is going to be made, is the defensive side of the ball. I think is going to be a lot where some day 2 action might be happening. So we're going to give you some of those names and talk about strategy there when we come back on the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Oh my God. You guys are psychos.
All right, I got to pull up my calculator now because I had to take away whatever the subscription goal just completely failed. There's no way we're at 55. We've got to be.
No,
I have to imagine
we are in the hundreds right now.
I have to imagine we're close to 300 at this point, but I am going to do my best. I have all the notifications here. I have to obviously scroll down quite a far ways to get to the start. All right. Uncle Indigo started things off by subbing for 12 months. A year. Welcome, Uncle Indigo. Thank you for your support. 1 year in the books, he says. Then CJ Craig 78, subscribed for 13 months. 1 upped him with a baker's dozen. Thank you for that. 1 + 1, we're at 2, guys. Then LJ gifted 25 gifted subs. LJ, you freaking maniac. That puts us up to 27. Then Diode Mendez with 10 gifted subs, moving us to 37. Uncle Indigo then 5. Insane. Katie Fromm with a 7-month subscription says can't wait to see Jeremy clean shaven. One of the few people out here that have been begging me to shave it week after week after week. I'm getting there, man. It's taken its Wilford Brimley turn this week. Yeah,
like I just saw it and it's got the curve.
Yeah, I could definitely do the evil mustache at this point.
Yeah. Give me some Tombstone going on here. Yeah.
Then Jetty F Baby with the 5 gifted subs moves us up to 48. Angry Dung Beetle with the 10 gifted subs moves us to 58. Craig with another 10, 68. D-Man with 5. Thank you for D-Man. Nick Coscarelli with a gifted sub. I almost gave you credit for 10 there. There was only 1 there, but appreciate it nonetheless. LJ then came in with another 25, which pushed us to 99. RC Vader subscribed for 5 months. He says, dye that stash. That pushes us to an even 100. And that was 21 minutes ago. So we are still 20 minutes behind on alerts at this point. Then Lil H. Corny subscribed for 2 months. He also says, he or she should say, they say, die the stash 101. 10 gifted from subs from MNUFC 56. Thank you. Appreciate the 10 gifted subs. 5 gifted subs from Lion's Blood 20 up to 116. Apex Predator, our good friend from YouTube who migrated over to Twitch with 10 gifted subs. Then Lefty followed up with 25, and Joshua just dropped a 50 bomb. Holy crap. We're going to get to you in a second, but let me get to
There were some singles. There were some singles in there, too.
I've somehow avoided getting the sub. I don't know how this is possible.
Very carefully.
Yes, very carefully. Let me make sure I don't lose my place here. Okay, we just did Lefty to 25. That has us at 151. Reg Addison with the 2-month subscription. Appreciate that. Pushes us to 152. Detroit subscribed himself for 20 months now. which is close to the longest subs we have on the channel. Appreciate all the support you've given us. Yeah, Detroit. Boberto then subbed for 4 months. Appreciate that as well. Zern Baby Zern with 6 months. That puts us to 155. And that, okay, I think at this point we are essentially caught up. Joshua Mercer with the 50 bomb. You freaking maniac. Thank you so much.
Zern just dropped another 5.
And Zern Baby Zern with 5. So...
And we got 1,000 bits from Nick the Greek, who says, "Get Ruby some catnip for 420." How many subs is that, Jeremy?
If my math is correct, we are at 210, which means so that means one of two things.
There's 10 more.
Okay, so we're at 220. So we're saving the stash another week. You guys have saved the stash for another week officially. That has happened. I am going to change this now to die the stash.
221, man.
I feel like we need to have some sort of goal for 420.
Jeremy has the Mott shirt on, by the way. Jeremy has the mozzarella shirt on.
I did put it on.
Yeah.
All right. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, man.
All right, let me catch
I could
up
never
here.
do this. In my life, I could never do what Jeremy has inspired in you people. You just throw money at a screen for having facial hair. It makes me feel impotent. Like, I've had this thing since I was 17, and like I've never received money for it.
I can only imagine of growing a mustache like that.
Okay, I have to make sure so what was the last 10 I added? Was it the 10 from It was the 10 from Uncle Indigo, right? And then Apex just gifted another 10?
10, and then Craig did another 10. So we're at 240, I think.
Okay, that sounds right.
And I think you had a 1 in there, so you just lost the 1. So I think it's
241. I will trust you and say we're at 241.
Listen, I failed math, so
we're at 241.
You should shave my beard to mock him. Conrad, if I shave this thing, I don't know if it's coming back.
There we go. Okay. We'll keep let's just keep the numbers at that for now. I mean, if you want to sub, but like, I think we're caught up here. 241. So the stash will be saved for another week, and I'll make it clear again. Next week the sub goal doubles if we don't die the stash to 400. So it would cost you 600 to keep us for 2 weeks if we go week by week and don't hit the die goal. If we hit the die goal today, you keep it for the 2 weeks. Plus, I get died on draft night, but then it gets shaved in the Sunday after.
5 more from Krolik 2. Thank you, Krolik.
Here's my question: can you use normal hair dye on a mustache, or is there special like facial hair?
It's hair.
Dye?
Yes.
I wasn't sure if it'd be different or not.
But here's the problem: if I dye it blue, I'm almost certainly going to have to bleach it first, because you can't just dye brown blue. That's not how colors work. Which will be a whole nother ordeal of just like putting a whole bunch of bleach right beneath my nose. That seems safe.
I've done it before. Not on my nose, but on my hair. I've bleached my hair before.
But before you dye it, if you do bleach it, we need to see that. It'll look like Beach Bum Jeremy.
Guy Fieri mixed with Wilfred Brimley.
Oh, that'd be great.
Going out for the best diners, drive-ins, and dives. Okay. Is there anything else we need to take care of? Ruby, thank you everyone for the well wishes to Ruby. By the way, he is better now. So just wanted to get that out there. I know that was a lot last week.
You mentioning Guy Fieri reminds me of Ryan's about person organizing the best drives in history and Bill Belichick.
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
that did some good numbers, if I remember correctly.
What happened to my cat, Ruby? Ruby was having a partial urinary blockage. It wasn't pretty. Thankfully, he had a full blockage about 5 years ago where he had to go on catheters, and it was brutal. But thankfully, he got a little bit of help. He had some medications that helped cleared it out, and now he's on some special food to keep it clean. And I just spent a whole week agonizing, but he had a test. I took him to a second vet yesterday, and he came back with a full clean bill of health. So all that's really wrong with him now is he is being very fussy and not liking his new food, but he will have to deal.
Sorry.
He could stand to lose a few pounds anyway. He weighs a full 10 kilos now, which is 22 pounds.
And
the
yes,
vet even called him. The vet even said, "I'm here with your butterball cat." And I'm like, yeah.
Another 5 gifted subs from why is your name so hard for me to say? MNUFC. We'll just say Minnesota UFC. That's an easy way to remember it.
My wife's cat hadn't too bad for him to make it, and it got too bad for him to make it. Yeah, like weird too because he didn't display any signs. That's the thing. Like until they're having trouble actually going, they will show no signs. Cats are weird like that when it comes to showing pain, and it makes it very difficult. They've got that stiff upper lip going on.
And to everyone that mentioned Grogu or Baby Yoda or whatever you want to call it, yes, that is Baby Yoda right over there. Oh, and we got a new.
Yeah, that happens. They get something called struvite crystals. Oh my God, we've got a kitty now too. Who is that?
This is Salem.
Salem.
Yeah.
Nice, classic black cat name. No pet Salem command yet.
Not yet.
He's licking his balls.
Apex says if 4 more of you want to drop 50 bomb, we'll get to 500. Oh yeah, if 5 of you just want to drop a cool $250,
just do that. Just what's the problem? Just do that, forehead.
Was the happy birthday sign for me? John, is that true? I saw the happy birthday sign. Did you guys celebrate my birthday?
It was for me, and I just haven't taken it down.
So, that was
happy
like
birthday,
3 weeks
Jeremy
ago.
and John. Yeah. Both of you. When was your birthday, John? Because I know Jeremy's was over the weekend.
It was on April 12th.
Oh, it wasn't that long before.
Oh,
it was
okay.
just like a week ago. A week ago.
Katie Fromy, I hate to ask for money. If you do want to help contribute, I'll try to set something up later. I did just drop about, I think all said and done between everything I had to do, I did spend about like $800 because he had to go to a weekend vet. But I'll get something together if people are generous enough. I don't like begging for money. It's my family. It makes me weird. It makes me weird just because like I believe in hard work, but I also realize that I'm not getting paid too much for hard work. And there's a cat licking its balls.
No, he's not his balls. He lies down like that.
By the way, I have something for John now. Hold up, John. Can you tilt your camera backwards?
Backwards behind me, or
no, back towards the cat a bit. Okay, it's in picture right now. I can't help but notice that your room is basically bare except for a volcano lamp.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get some posters, but the funny thing is, last Christmas, my sisters, they bought me some posters, and except they didn't actually buy them because they didn't know what posters I wanted to get.
But
so they basically just bought me. They gave me an IOU, be like, "Well, we'll buy you some posters." They never did.
But you are a Gen Z. You are a Gen Z Canadian boy, a male, and you own a volcano lamp in the year of our Lord 2021.
I got it as
and it's a green one too.
It's like blue and green kind of thing. It's still getting going right now. I've only had it on for about.
Yeah, I'm sorry, lava lamp. I don't know why I keep saying volcano lamp. Lava lamp, yes. That's just, but it's such a throwback, man.
I don't know.
What's the parking only sign? What's this guy? The parking only sign over your left shoulder.
Oh,
Vulcan parking only.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like Star Trek stuff, so you know me.
Yeah.
Anyway, we did get a request for a list cast
of
who the Lions trade up with one trade partner, if you guys can think of it, and 3-4 trade down. That's a little involved.
Where is that? I don't even see that.
It was from
Conrad dropped the 5,000 points a little while back. I see it. I see where he dropped it, and he says, list cast of who the Lions trade up with, one trade partner, if you guys can think of it, and 3-4 trade down partners.
Okay, well, trade up is going to be pretty limited. I mean, basically, it would be
I mean, we just did a
Bengals, maybe?
podcast on trade down
Yeah.
partners. You could go listen to that. I know I listed off like Patriots as one of them. Broncos were another big one. Let me think of one more trade down.
Washington.
I think Washington was our other big one. So there's our 3 trade down. And then trade up. I mean,
you're not going to move into those top 3 spots, right?
No.
So,
no, you'd have to trade with like the Falcons or Bengals.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I would be pretty upset if they traded up in this draft.
There's just no need to trade up. Like
The
I know
only way to
everyone's-
do
I
is for a
think-
quarterback, and I would not be in favor of that.
As
I know
a
you
member of Team Pro quarterback, I would be happy moving up to 4 because I honestly don't think it would cost them that much. I think maybe you throw in, I guess it would be a 2022 first. Hopefully not Detroit's. Hopefully it would be the Rams' first
Right.
round pick, and then maybe you throw in like a 3rd or 4th or something. Because I think when Miami moved up from 12 to 6, I think it was. They didn't give up that much to do it, and I know that jumping into the top 4 is still pretty hefty, but going from 7 to 4 is not a big leap.
Well, I think Falcons might just be locked into Kyle Pitts at this point too. Is the other thing, which could happen, and
Possibly.
then it's a question of can you trade with the Bengals? Well, okay, I think the Bengals. Bengals not a threat for quarterback. It's all about who might jump you.
Yeah.
We are getting rumors again that Miami might trade back down, which is something I said could happen. I've been saying could happen since they traded around to 6. But at the same time, this is also I would say this. I think every team's getting offers for what they have right now.
Yeah, everyone.
It's
well, yeah,
not,
this is the time.
everyone's getting offers.
This is a time of year in which teams are just they're fishing. They're seeing how much would it
Throw
cost.
shit at the wall. Yeah.
It's not that they're like setting up deals. They're just like, okay, we need to be prepared on draft day for what this pick is worth and who's considering trading it. So you make all your calls this week so that you're prepared next week. And so that doesn't mean there's interest necessarily. Doesn't mean that it's their priority. It just means, hey, let's get all these ducks in an order so that nothing is a surprise on draft day.
It's due diligence.
Yep.
It's what it is. It's due diligence. You always want to ask questions so you can have answers.
Yep.
And I think that's all it is. I don't think there's an impending trade. I think we could see some trades. I don't think though, like I'm seeing some guys saying, hey, the entire draft board might be flipped come draft day. I don't think that'll happen.
Right.
A lot of these talks are just going to remain talks.
Well, that's the other thing. Like Adam Schefter tweeted out, like, "Oh, the Panthers are having conversations about trading back." Of course, they're having
Everyone's having these conversations.
Like, okay, congratulations. Like, I think they'd be stupid if they weren't having those conversations.
True.
Yeah.
Really quick before we jump back in, I am not changing the sub goal to 420. I realize what day it is, but I also realize I don't really want you guys to hit this goal. If I'm being completely honest,
We're realizing the work that would go into it.
I don't want another because we're also like I'm planning on doing a mock draft Wednesday, the day before the draft, but I also like that's when I have to dye my mustache, so I don't really know how I'm going to work that into my
here's the
schedule.
question.
Plus,
You
I just
realize you admitting that to the Twitch audience is basically red meat.
yeah, 100%.
I'm wondering though, are they going to be doing any like Zoom conferences with the draft picks? Would you have your blue mustache if you were involved in that?
I have definitely thought about that as well. In the past, it's generally a teleconference, but given that we're it's a new medium, it's certainly possible that I would be in on a Zoom conference with the Lions' first round pick with a big blue mustache. I have to assume for my own sake, I'm probably going to turn off my camera at that point, but
You could
we'll
buy
see.
a fake mustache to put over top of it.
Can I do one technical thing real quick? Oh my god.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, Detroit with the 50 gifted subs. Can we just stop for a second? Yeah, Detroit has given 206 subs to the channel in his career.
Can I borrow money from you guys to play my gachapon games?
We are officially over 300, and this is just the first of 3 breaks.
I know. Well, we're gonna try to get to it, but I'm noticing Discord where we're recording is having some issues with certain servers. Our server's still up, but I don't know if I should like reconnect the bot.
Have I had any issues dropping in or out?
Nope, not at all. Oh,
No. I'm more worried
Yeah.
about because if the bot isn't working, we're not going to have a first segment just because that alarm has been the roaring has been going off nonstop.
True.
Yeah, I might not be able to salvage.
I can turn off the alerts if you want. It's kind of
I'm just going to run a back. I'm just going to run some backup recorders. I just need a second to boot up my audition. So it's fine. It's fine. It shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. But I want to be thorough. You know, I don't like.
I also want to send a preemptive. I'm so sorry, YouTube, for the 5 annoying comments we're going to get tomorrow that says, I couldn't hear anything over that annoying goal sound. Can you turn that off next time?
So, I mean, I kind of get that in that it's like...
I've turned down the volume on that thing about 8 different times. It used to scare the shit out of me, and that was fun for people. And now it doesn't scare me because I had to turn it down because YouTube people were complaining.
Here's the thing is that the Twitch stream is bonus content, really. Because before, like, when you used to just do the podcast, you know, it was never live or anything.
Well, I think I think my argument would be like, those alerts are cool when you're just watching someone play a game or something and that suddenly breaks in. But like when it's a spoken content like this, I kind of get it because you're like, you want to listen, you want to hear what people are saying.
Right.
So I get it. But we also like having fun too. So it's, both sides to an argument.
And I'm not talking about the YouTube live audience. I'm talking about the people who watch us on replay on YouTube. Yeah. YouTube live audience is just as good as the Twitch live audience there. I said it.
Yeah. The YouTube live guys are cool, except for the random fights you get into, but we appreciate you all the same.
All right.
Let's get back into it.
Let's get back into some defense.
I keep seeing Reno's server go up and down pretty much, and like 2 other servers. So Discord is having some sort of gremlins. It's only hitting certain servers though, so I think we should be all right. Yeah, Troy. Fighting in the YouTube's comments.
Fine, Craig. I will let you use your math.
Gentlemen, you
move
can't
it to
fight in
302.
here. This is the YouTube comments section.
We should make the next goal like, if we hit 1,000 subs, not only does Jeremy keep the mustache, but then he has to dye it like pink, like that lift mustache.
I could not.
We're making way too much.
Ask someone to gift 1,000 subs during one stream. Well, hold on. We're not quite ready to move into the next.
Where do you guys get this money?
I hope you're all being responsible with your money. I mean, I would say throwing at us in the first place for me to dye my mustache is probably not being completely responsible with your money. I appreciate it nonetheless, but I hope you have enough disposable income where that's okay.
Yeah, don't spend money that you can't spend, folks.
LJ with another 50. He is up to 314 total in the channel. LJ, let me give you some eye contact. I love you, and I hate you so much.
No. Oh, no. Someone said if we hit 420, can you dye Zazu blue?
No, absolutely not.
No, that's animal cruelty.
No.
He doesn't have that much fur to dye anyway, does he?
Move to Texas note state income tax. I mean, oh my God.
Are we gonna get? We might not get out of this segment.
Can I? No. We're going right now. You thank Apex right now, and we're going right back into it, Jeremy.
Oh Jesus! All right, Apex.
I'm not spending another 50 minutes here.
402. I'm not even gonna bother with the other one because who cares about it? But all right.
Let's go. Come on, let's go. Let's talk Lions. You're gonna lose. I want if you're gonna lose it. I want to have the recorder rolling.
Be on air. Got it. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Jeremy is in the process of losing it because, as always, Jeremy thinks he is doubting the Twitch audience and puts up these goals that I think are unrealistic. And spoiler alert, since we have started, we now have 402 out of 500 subs. I think it actually just went up a little bit more. 403, I believe. It doesn't matter. The point is Jeremy's going to have to dye his mustache blue, and he's just finally realized what kind of work that entails because he has to bleach it first, and he's not happy about and that he's going to be on pressers with Lions players.
New
he's
Lions
not
players.
happy about this. New Lions players.
Yeah. I've made a huge mistake, to quote Joe Bluth.
You've made so much money off this mustache, and now finally,
the
monkey paw is curled.
The good news is that in 2 weeks it will be gone forever, assuming
until November.
November. Yeah, we'll bring it back in November, but yeah, no.
With the money that's coming for this thing in November, when November comes, we need to find a good bleeping donation charity to donate this money to, because you guys are psychopaths.
Yes.
In a good way. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball, because I think this is where the money is going to be made for the Lions, because I think we've looked across. We touched on it last podcast, big PODcast we had, Jeremy, with Yumi and Ryan. Most of our scenarios where the Lions took defense, unless they feel a lot better about Patrick Surtain than I believe they are, or if they, God help me, like Micah Parsons, there's most of the defensive talent we've seen, we think the Lions could take on day one, would come from a trade down scenario, right, where they are in the middle of the first round and edge is suddenly on the board. But however, if they stay at 7, I think day 2 defensive line talent is all over the place. Third round, Jay Tufele for interior defensive lineman. You could see some edge guys. Patrick Jones, I know. I think you wrote that down on my sheet here, John. Patrick Jones, defensive end out of Pitt. There's a lot of names here. I think a lot of them have some questions, and like they're definitely, they're not full projects, but they do need some time to develop. But I think the Lions will take defensive talent probably 2 out of the 3 positions on day 2. What do you think, Jeremy?
Well, it depends on which positions, right? Because defensive tackle, I don't think it's actually that much of an immediate need. If you look at the guys that the Lions have right now, John Pennicini starting at nose tackle is probably not ideal, but you got Michael Brockers in there. You brought back Nick Williams. You've got John Atkins, Joel Heath, Kevin Strong as some depth there. It's not a huge need. And then also you look at the class. People have said this interior defensive tackle class is awful. You've heard some scouts tell some media guys, this is one of the worst classes I've ever seen at defensive tackle. And so I don't think there's a lot of value here at all, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Lions completely pass on defensive tackle in this year's draft. That being said, I think the value of defensive prospects in general comes, from day 2 and day 3, and you're talking about either edge guys, some linebackers that maybe slide into the top of the day 2, and then we'll get to secondary. But I think secondary is really where the Lions can get some value in day 2. The front 7 is going to be tricky, though. I think they might struggle to find some guys.
Well, I do want to real quick, and then I'll let John jump in here. We should talk about edge guys too, but like just in an interior tackle right now, I do want to stunt for my guy Jay Tufele out of USC, because I know he did opt out of the season, 2020 season, but he was already a pretty hungry prospect from that year. He's very agile. He's very nimble. He could be a problem inside. I guess the question is, where do you grade him? And then, as Jeremy said, there's enough. It's not too much of a need for the Lions right now. So where does he fit on a Lions roster right now if the Lions were to take Tufele?
I think he'd be like Michael Brockers Jr. Like he would be the guy that Michael Brockers kind of mentors, and maybe Brockers is a little bit more of a pass rusher and Tufele is more of a run defender, but I feel like in general That's where he fits in immediately. And then maybe he slides over to more of a nose. Maybe he stays kind of more of a 3-tech where maybe he can develop some pass rushing skills. But overall, he's a run defender, and the Lions need those. It might not be what they're focusing on in terms of, spending a ton of resources on. You don't want to spend a ton of resources.
He has some pass rushing ability too.
A little bit. But yeah, I think he's mainly, big-bodied kind of guy.
So are there any edge guys you could see, John? Or do you not even think too much about the defensive line right now?
So I'm kind of on the opposite stance of Jeremy, where I think the defensive interior is actually pretty weak. And I mentioned, going back to that article I wrote about positions the line could double down on, I think that defensive tackle could be a place they look at, because I don't really know how confident they are in John Pennicini. And even a guy like Sean Hand has been really struggling with injuries over the course of his career. Unfortunately, He had a really good rookie season, but hasn't been able to get over that. And then Nick Williams, I don't really know what to think of him, to be honest. I feel like at very best, he's an inconsistent interior defensive lineman. Like one guy who I really like in the draft is out of NC State, and it's Lima Mcneil. He is basically a nose tackle, but he's a nose tackle who can brush the passer. And that's one thing that this defensive line really lacks, is some pass rushing talent in the interior. Yeah. Now, looking at the outside, I'm actually of the opinion that I don't think the Lions need to draft an edge rusher. I think Trey Flowers is still pretty good. Hopefully he's, nice and healthy now. You put in Romeo Okwara with his new contract. And then I think also Julian Okwara is something that a lot of people have forgotten about. And I think this rookie season for him was almost a throwaway. Now, I think a lot of what happened with the Lions defense with Matt Patricia is essentially a throwaway. I think it's hard to judge anyone in particular, but I think they're probably better off on the outside than some people expect.
All right. Let's just move right ahead to linebacker. I feel like, are you guys good there? There's not a lot of edge guys here I could see either, right?
Yeah, I mean, there isn't. I mean, it's tough because the Lions have all that young talent on the edge that we still don't know what they have in a guy like Julian Okwara and obviously Austin Bryant as well. And then you just paid. You still have Trey Flowers, a guy that I think we kind of forget to talk about a lot because he was a guy that was from the previous regime, and then you spend all that money on Romeo Okwara. So it's not a huge need. You could even throw Jashawn Cornell into that, a guy that was drafted late last year and missed his entire rookie season essentially. But you also need to be of the belief that you can't ever have too many edge defenders, pass rushers. You want pass rushers. So there are a lot of people that like Kwity Paye. So in a trade down scenario, I would put Kwity Paye up there. I mean, you want guys that on defense that can make plays, and you have kind of a bunch of good but not great talent. You don't have any blue chip guys on your defensive line at this moment, I wouldn't say. Romeo Okwara is maybe the closest you've got. So if you have an opportunity to get one, and is there a blue chip guy in this year's draft? Maybe even not. If there was, he probably would go in the top 10. But if you still can get a first round talent, I would say consider it. Other than that, I would say maybe reach for, potential guys that could get into the rotation later. I'm trying to think of some guys that we've talked about in the past that I like. Carlos Basham, I know is a fan. There's a lot of fans of him. Joe Tryon, kind of a linebacker, but plays the edge position. Pretty good pass rusher, I think, out of Washington. He's a guy that a lot of people have targeted maybe as a day 3. If he slides to day 3, I think there's good value there. I'm not sure about taking him at 41. But yeah, edge overall, I don't think edge is something that they need to necessarily press. I think if a guy slides to them, you don't like with any position. If you have a guy highly rated, you take him no matter what because you're the Lions and you're in rebuild. But there's no reason in this draft for the Lions to reach on an edge.
All right, let's talk about then linebackers, shall we? I think we've been really struggling to figure out where linebacker is going to go, and I don't know. I've talked so much about why I'm not a Micah Parsons fan. If I can just leave it to football for a second, I don't even know if there's really a need for off ball for what the Lions want to do. So I think day 2 is where you're going to look. Do you guys agree, disagree? Because I've got some names here for a linebacker.
I agree with that, unless the Lions have down. I think linebacker at 7 is way too rich.
Yeah, I definitely. It's not a great class at linebacker. I think if you're going to get one that's going to be better than the guys that they have, it has to be a day 1 or day 2 guy. If the Lions decide to get Micah Parsons, and spoiler, I have a big Micah Parsons article going up on Wednesday morning that kind of tackles everything I think about him. I don't want to spoil it too much, but obviously a big chunk of that is devoted to all the off the field stuff. But if the Lions decide to pass on him, or maybe, we've seen a couple scenarios in mock drafts where they, let's say, trade down with the Patriots and grab him at 15. I think it might be more palatable for some people there. I don't think the positional value is the issue with me. I think a lot of it is the behavioral concerns. We saw Reuben Foster, a guy, drop all the way to the bottom of the first round. 49ers, it appeared to have gotten a steal. And 2 years later, he's off the 49ers and hasn't played a game since. So, I can't ignore it at this point. We have surpassed the 500 subs. And who was it that did it? Chris Perfett.
Yeah!
The Well, this is a good time in the middle of the podcast to remind everyone that we do live draft show here on Twitch and YouTube. If you don't want to stick with the NFL Network and ESPN coverage where they often just skip the Lions pick, join us live on youtube.com/C/Pride of Detroit or twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit. You get to see us give live reactions, live analysis, and now you will officially get to see me with a blue mustache.
Awaited, chat. I let you guys did a lot of the work, but I wanted to help you stick the dagger. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Where were we talking about? We were talking about linebackers.
Linebackers. We were talking about Micah Parsons. But yeah, let's just assume the Lions do not draft Micah Parsons in the first round. Linebackers. Who are you guys in love with as day 2, day 3?
I am in love with Baron Browning. I love everything about Baron Browning. He's out of Ohio State. I know I've seen some people poo-poo him. I think those people are mostly Michigan fans, though. There is nothing wrong with Baron Browning's game. Nothing I can really think of right now. Like it, I know, like he's not great, I would say, at zone. He needs to develop. I say nothing wrong. I think maybe you could, it's nitpicky stuff. Like you're going to want him to, he needs to be better at reading, developing plays. And I know there's some questions about some of his technique, but man, he is versatile. He can fit a lot of schemes. He can fit everything they want to do. And most of all, I think for the Lions, there's nothing wrong with his tackling game. He is going to wrap up a tackle, and he's going to do it. And he's fantastic on the blitz. I think he is. If the Lions want to continue using their linebackers to bring pass rushing pressure, Baron Browning is it.
What about you, John? You got a you like?
I think that's very fair. If anything, I think Browning isn't going to be available in the second round. I think he's a guy who can easily sneak into the top, not the top, the end of the first. I would not be surprised to see some people talk about it.
I wouldn't be
There's
either.
A lot of hype. I think.
I was just going to say, like every mock though I've seen has him going second round.
I would not be surprised when you have a guy who tests as well as he did. Some people are going to take some shots. Now, I think probably the biggest thing working against Browning is the fact that he was actually pretty underutilized at Ohio State. Ohio State used a lot of linebackers. Another guy who they used that I like is Pete Werner. He's a guy the Lions could look at in the second round. So it'll be interesting to see if him not being played as much is due to maybe they're trying to hide some weaknesses, or maybe the coaching staff just likes to keep guys fresh, or maybe they're not very smart. But it's the Ohio State University, so I have a bit of faith in them. Anyway, in terms of other prospects, there's a lot of different guys who could fall, and Zaven Collins, if he's available, I think more than welcome. Oh, yeah. Nick Bolton out of Missouri. I think Ryan mentioned he was very high on him. Jabril Cox, Jamin Davis.
We've talked about this guy in our
guys.
We've talked about this guy in our mock drafts quite a bit, Jeremy. Chaz Surratt out of North Carolina, because he is that kind of outside linebacker edge rush hybrid that that kind of fits what the Lions were doing last year. Whether they stay with that this year, that's a great question. But I mean,
yeah, and really almost every single guy we've mentioned fits the Lions in the sense that I went back to this quote in my Mike Parsons article, but the Lions are trying to get faster on defense. That's their number one goal, is to get faster on defense. No more of these 260-pound linebackers who run 4.8 40s. They want fast dudes. They want guys that can go sideline to sideline. They can drop back into coverage. They can burst into the backfield if they find that run crease. And a lot of that's the one thing that I think this class actually is fairly decent at, is a bunch of very athletic guys, whether it's Baron Browning, who brings all that athleticism in a 245-pound body, or
he ran like what, a 4.53, I believe, something
ridiculous like that. Yeah, Jamin Davis is a guy. I think his RAS is in the 9.8s or 9.9. So, another guy with incredible athleticism. So I think all these guys, as you mentioned, I think day 3 is really the sweet spot for the Lions here to potentially get a starter and the kind of guy that they exactly want at this position. The key is just finding a guy, and this is so hard to project from the college level because a lot of college linebackers don't do this. It's coverage. They don't drop into coverage much at all. They're just blitzers, and they're guys that just jump through the gaps. And
right,
so you have
in college, like, you get pressure on a quarterback, it's pretty much over.
Right, exactly. And so
the interesting thing about this draft is there are very few prospects that would be up Matt Patricia's wheelhouse.
Right.
A lot of those big, slower guys who are run stuffers. Looking at the top of the second round, there are a lot of fast guys who have potential to be good in coverage, and that's a really, really good opportunity for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, Zaven Collins. That's the one that New England has to go out and get, right? That dude's 260. He's also very fast, though.
Even he's very athletic.
Right.
Too,
well, and they don't shy away from athletic guys, but it's rare to find one that's 260, and that's why I think Micah Parsons and Zaven Collins both make sense for the Patriots. So, if they're, I don't even know if they're in the market for a linebacker, but those are kind of the only two guys that really make sense for them. Otherwise, they might be in trouble.
Yeah. So I think just with all that, the names we've kind of fallen in love with here, they're all guys who, I mean, again, maybe it scares me when I hear John saying oh, Baron Browning could go day 1, which I think is realistic. But I also think that just a linebacker prospect like that is probably and NFL teams kind of get weird when it comes to certain positions on where they go. So, and I'm mostly just crossing my fingers because if the Lions land Baron Browning in the second round, that is a very successful draft for me, especially with the problems the Lions have had with their linebacker core. And this is the position this is the positional core that needs the most work right now, except for maybe our second, the last one we need to talk about, which is defensive backs, which might need as much work, if not more. I think we talked about it after free agency, and Jeremy, I think we asked ourselves, what are the Lions doing with defensive backs?
Right.
And, this is the place where I think that you want to try to improve that outlook.
Yeah. Safety for sure. Safety, there's no doubt in mind they need something, and they need something probably early in this draft. I mean, if they don't get one, whatever, they'll get one in the next year's draft. We're not trying to win this year, and you're certainly the difference between the Lions making the playoffs and not this year isn't a safety. But you don't want Tracy Walker, Will Harris, and Dean Marlowe to be your top 3 guys. It's a horrible trio. Cornerback is a little bit more secure after they went out and actually added a couple guys late in free agency. Cornelder could be their nickel. It's definitely going the very frugal route, and it's not a long-term solution. But it's at least a body. There wasn't a body at nickel corner before 2 weeks ago. And then you get in Quentin Dunbar, who I think is a very, very high-ceiling guy that if the conditions are right, this guy could not only be a starter for you, but could be your CB1 essentially, based on the 2019 season he had. So you combine that with Okuda or Warrior and Mike Ford, and you've got a decent 4 there. But there's no one else. So there needs to be depth. They're going to add depth at the corner position, but I think at safety, they need a starter. And ideally, I'd like to get it now because I do like some of the top safety prospects in this draft where I think they can get some good value in early day 2.
Yeah, I could see them maybe getting again to that corner depth. Benjamin St. Juste could be a day 3. A third round, maybe even an early day 3 pick, the guy out of Minnesota, who and we've talked about him a lot in our mock drafts as well, because he's usually on PFN's mock draft calculator. He's usually there by like the 4th round.
Yeah,
and he would be a good developmental piece. What are some of the safety names you're thinking about, Jeremy? Because like I know for me, once again, USC guy, Talanoa Hufanga, like fits the bill for me. His coverage skills are kind of a little underrated, but he is physical. I think he is pretty good in coverage all the same. He's also very versatile and can fill a lot of different roles, which would be, again, great for what the Lions really need right now. He's not too athletic, but he's versatile, and I see a lot of people, maybe it's the Polynesian name, but I see a lot of people give him the Troy Polamalu comp.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's him, and I don't want to just like be a parrot of Eric Schlitt, but I know he's a huge Jamar Johnson fan out of Indiana, a guy whose game translates very much like John Johnson. The biggest concern with him is athleticism a little bit. He ran a 4.58, I think, 40, which is not great for a safety. But in terms of his instinct, in terms of his play speed, I think is a little bit better than that. And we all know that the Rams prefer, miles per hour on the field and tracking things like that over 40 speeds. So maybe that's good. Maybe it's the same kind of situation that the Rams have been in before. Maybe that 40 times scares away some people. He falls there into their lap in the 3rd round, or God forbid the 4th round, and the Lions get a steal there. Richie Grant out of UCF is another one. He might be the second safety off the board, so the Lions might have to take him at 41. But given the need of safety at this team, I certainly wouldn't mind to see them go for Richie Grant with that 41st pick.
Anyone you see, John?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where I don't think this draft has any elite talent. They don't have a Minkah Fitzpatrick, for example. But I think there's a lot of solid options, although I think it's really depending on what they want to do with the defense. A guy that I really like is Javon Holland, safety / cornerback from Oregon. He tested pretty well, and he's a guy who has experience both in the slot and in safety. So, if the Lions want to move him around a little bit, there's an option there. Now, we always kind of almost overemphasize versatility. In the end, you want someone playing one single role, but I think he's a guy who can develop pretty well into that safety position.
So the only other thing I want to add to this conversation as far as defensive backs is bringing up again the day one thing when it comes to cornerback. And again, I know the Lions, it would be a luxury thing for them, but I think a lot of people are starting to really see what Patrick Surtain would bring to the Patrick Surtain II, I should say. I think his father played in the NFL, would bring to the table. I don't know. I think it might be a bit of a reach if you're at 7, but honestly, if you believe in the guy, you go for him. But again, if the Lions do trade back, Patrick Surtain should be on your board. And if he's there in the teens, I don't think he will be. He's in a weird spot as far as his value, Jeremy, because I don't think people see him as valuable enough to go 7 or later. I mean, 7 or earlier. But he, in a lot of mocks, he does not last very long past 10.
Yeah,
either.
And Lance Zierlein actually has him 5 on his big board.
No, he's fantastic. He is a complete Surtain right now. For playing from Alabama, getting the coaching he has, having his father coach, who was a high school coach for him too. He's a complete project. He's not someone who you need to develop further. He's NFL and ready to go right now.
The question is, is there any concern or consternation about going back-to-back cornerbacks in years, first round?
Yes. Yeah, and especially, and I guess a lot of that would depend on how does the new regime look at Jeff Okudah. And, maybe you'd know this, Jeremy. I don't know what they've said about Okudah so far.
Well, he's certainly made an impression on them because he's been training. He's been doing his whole offseason training at the facility. So, and part of that is rehabbing from an injury. Part of that is just commitment to the game. And I think in terms of character, I don't think there's a chance that they don't fall in love with the guy. And the fact that he's basically been in Allen Park day in and day out already this offseason, I think they're going to fall in love with him. The question is whether he can improve his game. And again, we've talked about it multiple times this offseason. The coaching staff appears to be in place that fits him, that should be suited towards him. They got a defensive coordinator who's been a Pro Bowl defensive back. And I believe it's their defensive backs coach has actually worked with Okudah before in the when he was in high school. So there's already a built-in rapport there. I'd be surprised to see the Lions go cornerback early. Even day 2, I think might be a little bit surprising given the limited amount of resources they have. But in general, I'm not against the idea because I do think cornerback is a high value position.
Yeah, I just think, as you say, with what you have there, it would definitely be a luxury. But again, keep an eye on that for probably round 3 or later for a corner, I would say. Because they could definitely use another one just for development.
Sure. I mean, they just need bodies, too, at this point. So,
Yep. I mean, it's a passing league. You can't go wrong with having too many starters in the secondary.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I think probably the one spot I think the Lions could still use an upgrade on is going to be the slot corner.
Yeah.
I'm not super sold on Corn Elder. So, maybe if they want to take a guy, we're just talking about children of NFL players, you could look at Asante Samuel Jr. He's a guy who projects pretty well as a slot guy. I think it's going to be something definitely interesting to watch because I honestly don't know what to make of the players they have on the roster just because of how bad the coaching was.
And maybe that's something that they decide, like, let's wait and see. Let's see what we've got. And, they're not going to be there in off-season workout, so they won't really get a good sense of how they are out there on the practice field until after the draft. So maybe that's something they kind of sit on their hands and say, listen, we don't need to fix all of our problems in one off-season. We don't even know if this is necessarily a problem that we need to address. Let's put cornerback on the shelves for now, address pretty much any other position, and then reassess next year because – listen, this is a long-term plan. This is a long-term build, and they might not be saying it publicly, but we all know it. So I think they should take their time with the cornerback position and maybe not jump to anything drastic.
Fair enough. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, I want to talk about our coverage coming up next week as far as what we're going to be doing at Pride of Detroit because we're going to be very busy. I would do a little bit of a debate about positional value and maybe have us rank where we think these positions, how much they mean to each of us as far as just kind of a minor list cast kind of thing. And then maybe there's a little bit more talk that I wanted to have in regards to this draft. And I don't have a good tease for that stuff. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to rub it in with Jeremy about his blue mustache, and we'll be right back on the Pride of Detroit PODcast. I didn't realize those. Holy crap! I don't. I'm glad to have gifted those subs. I hope you guys enjoy them.
Let me just quickly catch up on the alerts
I just
that
basically
happened.
don't get to buy video games again for the rest of the year now. So.
I don't remember where we left off before we got out of break. I want to say it was Apex.
Jeremy.
Thank you, Chris. Chat certainly thanks you.
Thank me for my 10 gifted subs. Do it. Go on. And everyone else.
Arnick gifted a sub. I don't know if we got that one. Appreciate that. Craig then dropped a 50 bomb, I think, right before we went into that segment. You son of a bitch. Arnick then gifted another gifted sub. Angry Dung Beatles dropped 25 gifted subs. Dion Medes dropped 10 right after that. Def Jam Arza subscribed with the Twitch Prime. By the way, if you have Amazon Prime, you can link it to your Twitch account. Subscribe for free. You don't have to spend crazy amounts of money trying to dye my mustache blue. You can just subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you a thing. If 500 of you would have just done that, no one would have had to spend any money. Anyways, then to push us over the top, No Decaf, a.k.a. Chris Perfett, a.k.a. the, what was it?
Purring Ferret.
The Purring Ferret gifted
10
gifted subs. And to make sure, just in case we hadn't gotten there, D-Man dropped another 5 right after that. You guys are maniacs. And look at this number up here, by the way. 793 total subs to the channel, which is by far a Pride of Detroit record. You guys are legends. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I know right now my initial mind is I hate all of you guys, and I'm going to be miserable Wednesday night and throughout the weekend. You're just going to sleep
on that pile of money. You're just going to sleep on that pile of money from these subs.
But seriously, like the amount of support that we've gotten, and I know the mustache has taken over as its own phenomenon, but beyond that, the site is doing record numbers, the YouTube channel is doing record numbers, the Twitch is doing record numbers, podcast, it's more than just the mustache. You guys are showing support for all of the content we do, and that's not being lost on me. It's not being lost on the people at SB Nation. You guys are amazing, and it's been awesome to see the site really grow in one of the darkest times of of Lions era. Uncle Indigo just made sure John finally got a sub, by the way.
I don't know. It must have been glitching or something. We haven't.
Well,
had
if you have
500
yourself listed
viewers.
online, do you have yourself listed online? That might do something.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know.
I mean,
Okay,
I'm in the Pride of Detroit stream right now because I thought usually when gifted subs goes to viewers first.
But yeah, just to finish that thought
you.
really quickly, it's been wild to see
Also,
the site grow. Not and obviously the Detroit Lions are noticing too, right? Like they gave us Deuce Staley. They allowed Jamal Williams to come on here. We could have even bigger guests in the future. I mean, we're hitting all sorts of milestones, and I owe literally all of it to you guys. So thank you.
As someone who's been insanely busy sometimes and has a second job too, it's just been fun to do this. It's just fun as hell. It's brought a new element to the podcast, and it kind of keeps us it keeps me energized to at least see the audience we're reaching out to. Not that we weren't having that already kind of prior to this, but sometimes, this gives us a new way to like talk to you guys. And it's been awesome. And I know I've had like 3 people already asking me about donating for Ruby's Fund, so I'll set something up. So thank you guys. But what?
Shut up, Harry. Harry says you owe it a little bit to puberty too.
Jesus Christ!
How dare you?
Yeah, but no, it's been awesome. And it kind of inspires me. I do need to write some more for the actual site itself, but it's just fun to do these streams. It's fun as hell. And we're gonna keep pumping these out because, as Jeremy said, it's through a dark time in Lions football, and we had set up the Discord and really populated it last season too. So even in that dark time, people came into the Discord because they wanted to hang out during the game, and we've had a ton of people chatting about Lions football, about other sports, about the Tigers, about the European Super League, which got killed in 2 days. About all kinds of stuff that we've had on our Discord. A lot of that hybridizes with this stuff over here too. We've got, I want to call it a community. It's a community. It's a huge fucking community, and people all know each other, and people come because of that community now, which is something that I love to see. And not only dark time for Lions football, but the fact that this past year has also been the COVID-19 year as well. This has been really cool to get through this all with all of you guys together.
Yeah.
So
and I've met so many of you guys. Whether it's
we're going to meet more as this
once things open up, we'll meet in person for God's sakes and do one of these live shows or something.
I know we've talked. I know Jared. I was talking with someone in chat a couple streams ago about trying to show up for Lions Rams with some people if there's other people coming to LA at some point. So, and at some point it's got to come home to Detroit. At some point, it's got to come home to Detroit.
Yeah, for sure. And just like through the Discord community, I've met a lot of you guys. I've played some video games with some of you guys, and I do want to say again, if any of you guys stream on your own, one of the things we love to do at the end of these things is raid some of our Pride of Detroit family. Try to get you guys to affiliate status or partnership or whatever you're aiming for. So.
That raid you did the other day to Zeus put him to affiliate status.
Yeah, we got Zeus to affiliate status. Our good friend Zeusifer, who you've likely seen in the chat here and there. Yeah. He does art streams.
I keep talking about streaming, but at some point I'm gonna do it. I just every time I start to stream, then all of a sudden life hits me with like a sick cat.
Yeah. To you YouTubers, I unfortunately we can't raid. I don't think YouTube offers a raid function. If they do, I don't know it yet. But if there are YouTubers out there, I know I see a lot of familiar names from YouTube that I know you guys do Lions content too, and I want to make sure I give you guys shout outs too.
I see a few people from Twitter who are in our YouTube chats. Who are in YouTube chat as well. So, yeah.
I see. I wonder.
Darth.
I was going to say.
By the way, thank you for the 5-month streak. Darth.
I was going to say before you mentioned about ragging people, I was going to say carry on Johnson streaming.
Yeah. We've rated him a couple times. We've rated Darius Slay, Graham Glasgow.
Yeah.
I don't think Slay acknowledged us though.
No, I think I saw Carry On got like a Stream Deck package, so I think he's starting to take streaming a little more seriously. And by the way, Darth Hippo, who just subscribed for 14 months, also streams a bunch. We've sent him a raid once or twice. He's really good at Valorant if you're a gamer, so make sure you follow him.
I'm very sorry. Very sorry you had to play Valorant.
But all of our Pride of Detroit Discord friends, a lot of them are playing Valorant right now, and I'm god awful at that game.
Doesn't play Valorant.
I just want people to play Counter-Strike with, but no one wants to. It's sad.
Play with Graham. Graham plays CS.
I was gonna say
Yeah, I saw it, but I don't know if I could just hit him up on Twitter and be like, hey Graham, can we play?
I just don't like playing.
Get in his chat. Get in his chat. And he plays with his chat all the time.
I just don't like versus game. I don't like trying to take on other people. I much rather work with people.
I've played Valorant about 7 times. Twice I've rage quitted. That is a horrible ratio.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I did just pick up Outriders though, and I know some people have been interested with that.
Fun, yeah.
It is. I love looter shooter stuff, and I know.
Yeah, well, I'll get like Destiny kind of thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've pretty much Destiny. I think I've kind of finally burned out after 3 years, but Outriders is pretty fun right now, and I've done like Borderlands and that kind of stuff before, and now I have Weeb games too. But yeah, let's see what else we got to go through.
By the way,
here.
Nick, thank you for
in general, you guys fucking rock. We have to say it we have to say it like every time that you guys all rock.
Nick, it doesn't tell me how long your sub is, but it did say that you converted your Twitch Prime, your Prime Gaming, I should say, to a tier 1. So appreciate that. That means you're actually giving a direct financial support to the channel, which you don't have to do. I mean, if you're using your Twitch Prime, you can use your Twitch Prime.
Yeah, by the way, I'm going to need that money from the 10 subs back, Jeremy.
What's that?
I'm joking.
Yeah, it just goes right back in your pocket.
Yeah.
After it filters through Amazon for half of it.
Could you imagine if, like, you dye your mustache, and then all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of chargebacks? Oh,
no. Can you even do that on a... I don't think you can do that on a sub. I don't think
you can. No.
You can on donations, but we don't really get donations, and that's fine. I mean, subs I think are better. Even though we only see half of it, it's a way to spread love to the other people that watch.
Darth Hippo, Outriders rough game for me though. Love the concept. Server issues, enemy imbalance is terrible. I haven't had any server issues. It's a little laggy with some friends, but not having too much. Enemy imbalance, I kind of get. It's one of those games where it's kind of like when I used to play Warframe at a high level, where it's like it's a razor's edge. Either you're killing a ton of enemies, you die in like 2 hits, and the snipers really suck in that game. But I don't know. I'm having fun with it right now. I can always turn the world levels down and have fun, but I'm trying to get to the end. I'm trying to see what the end holds first before I really pass judgment.
Couple quick things before we close things up here into our last segment. Apex Predator says last 7 days in the Army after 8 long years. Dude, congrats. Wow, good luck, man. Thank you for the service, first of all, and congratulations on 8 years in which I don't think I have the gumption to do. Congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Kent was in the Navy, right? I'm trying to think of anyone else.
Yeah, Kent was in the Navy.
I don't think anyone else was involved in the military.
On staff, I doubt it. We're a bunch of wusses. Bunch of beta boys, bunch of soy boys, as certain people on Twitter have called me. Cody R just super chatted for $4.99. Says, "Congrats on the blue mustache, Jeremy. A dream come blue." Beautiful, Cody. Thank you for the support.
Someone did link. Someone did link in Amazon in Twitch chat some blue hair dye wax as well. Jeremy,
hair dye wax.
Yeah,
That's a
apparently
thing?
it's like what people use for like their hair to just put it in blue. So it's just temporary. It's temporary coloring material.
Oops, wait. Hold on.
I can send
I'll
it
show
to you.
I see it.
send to you.
I see it. I'm just trying to show it to chat, but for some reason it's not.
Well, it's like
There we
the
go.
temporary tattoos of
Of hair
Oh.
dye. Yeah.
I think I would still have to bleach it though, right? Like that
I mean,
can't
that's
just go
what it's
over.
like paint, right? That's what just paint your
Right.
paint your mustache blue.
I don't know. I'll go over the next week and see the best way to do this. No, it needs to be legitimately dyed, says Trey Barnes. Go to a professional. I suppose I could do that too. Someone also said I should stream the dyeing process.
Oh God.
Wouldn't it be pretty long? I feel like that takes a while.
Yeah, as far as I understand, based on my cursory research,
Everyone wants the real thing, and CJ
Yeah.
Craig's like, I didn't sub 75 peeps to have that.
I believe it takes 45 minutes for the bleach to set in alone. I don't know how much the dyeing process.
That's about right.
Yeah.
I remember from when I had my hair bleached, it was about that time.
I mean, I'd welcome maybe do a Lions Q&A while I got like a hairnet here so that I'm not inhaling bleach.
You'll be doing it with your lower lip.
I mean, I can talk without moving it too much, right? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
It'd be funny.
I have to figure it all out first. But yeah, I'll try to make it worth your while. If not a live stream, you'll get plenty of Twitter posts, and yes, I'll take at least one picture of just a bleached mustache for you guys.
Lions Blood 20, Jeremy, how many subs for Frosted Tips?
Nope. Guys, we're done. We're done.
If I still actually grew hair on the top of my head that was longer than this, I would totally do that.
Listen, I if there's a dye job I'm doing up here, it's to tackle these gray hairs on the side, all right? The salt and pepper look is I'm not.
Yeah.
I know I'm 35
At least
now,
it's
but
gray. At least it's just graying. Like you can resolve graying very easily. What I have on my top of my head is going to kill me these days. Anyway,
just go bald. Dude.
So I wanted. Sorry, the reason why I completely forgot the other topic I wanted to touch on this final segment. I want to go over our coverage. I want to go over listing like what positions kind of like you would prioritize. I'm trying to remember what else. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on? Was there any other like this draft you want to talk about?
No, I'm sick of the draft.
But kicker.
Kicker? You want to talk about kickers?
Kicker?
I don't know anything about kickers in this draft. How does one research kickers other than looking at stats, I guess?
You got to follow one of those like specialized accounts, like the punter accounts.
Yeah, Hamza.
There's probably a kicker account. I wasn't just talking about. There's like puntalytics on Twitter, and they're very good at looking at punters.
Now, chat wants me to get gray hair just to go silver hair to go silver and blue. That's not part of the deal, chat. I'm sorry.
That's too much.
Nick, you can choose whatever game you want. Fortnite would be funny, but
you need to play more Rocket League, man. I want you to get better so I can beat you.
Yeah, I was talking with someone else when I was streaming a couple weeks ago. I think it was Chromon who wanted me to get into Rocket League.
I need to play with the Baltimore Beatdown guys a bit more.
yeah, they're good.
Yeah, they're good. I need to talk with him because I want to eventually combine forces for all of. If there's more SB Nation Discords out there to combine some forces and get something big together. But
what would be so cool is if we got like Rocket League teams from each SB Nation NFL site and we did like a big bracket.
32. It's kind of a perfect number.
32.
That'd be pretty fun, but it might be hard slim pickings for some.
Some blogs I don't think are about that. There's some guys you can have fun with. Some blogs I know that the whole reason I don't do 5 questions anymore is I think I finally pissed off someone at the Packers blog. Not Tex, who was good, but someone else who was very serious about covering the NFL. So, not everyone's going to play Rocket League.
Someone suggested I shave a lion into my back hair. Bad news. Part of my beta-ness is that I have no back hair.
who has back hair anymore? Like, even the alpha guys, like if you're an alpha guy on Insta, like you're not running around with back hair. That's gross. Nobody has back hair anymore. You like an ape or something? Come on. Nobody has back hair anymore. Nobody has back hair anymore. No one has chest hair anymore. Everyone waxes their. I'm gonna stop.
CJ Craig, thank you for the gifted sub to Sleazeball.
POD hot tub stream when?
Never.
I don't know if have you guys really heard about that? Twitch?
Hot tub streams?
Yeah, there's like
that's a thing.
People just do hot tub streams.
Yeah, and as always, people are like mad about it because like women get to wear bikinis or whatever. Like, get a life. Yeah, I've seen those hot tub streams. Those sound cool. You got the wings, Apex. Thank you so much for all your support, man.
Yeah, Apex.
Have fun with the wings. I know the Tigers are playing tonight, and I'm gonna go watch them. Actually, no, wait. The game got postponed because of weather.
True.
So
because of snow.
Snow. Ugh. Chris is clearly in LA like me. Yeah, I am.
I think I remember seeing a graph or something where like the Tigers have like the worst relief pitching in the league. Whereas like their starters are like on par with average, and their reliever ERA is like 7.
So nothing's changed in 10 years, is what you're telling me. Nothing. Like that's the usual, John. The Tigers bullpen is flaming disaster and despair. Like it's always been that way. Always. Even when Jose Valverde had a perfect save.
Oh, Valverde, that was a while ago.
Yeah, God. Like, and it was funny too, because like if you watch Valverde, everyone I had some fans who were like, oh, but he has no blown saves. He's a perfect save record. And I'm like, have you ever seen a Jose Valverde save? The guy inherits a 3-run lead, gives up
2 runs and a bases loaded.
Gives up a 2-run home run, loads the bleeping bases with like a hit and 2 walks, and then gets a pop. It gets like a double play. Loads the bases again, and then gets a pop fly out. And then he's pumping his fist like he won the World Series. He was enraging to watch.
Hold on.
What?
XJ Snake just gifted a sub to Blue Mustache Guy.
Who is Blue Mustache?
I don't know. He went and found someone named Blue Mustache Guy.
We've had an account since
there is no one on Twitch named that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can't give us the sub against to someone who doesn't exist.
I don't think they follow us.
I doubt it. And I did not just create that account. All right. Can we finish this up so I can?
Let's wrap up the podcast. Let's wrap up the podcast. We'll play a little grab ass on the way out. I know we're at like an hour 40 already, so. I did not time that last segment. By the way, from Super Chat, Cody R, $4.99. Did you do that already?
I did that already. Yeah, a dream come blue. A very, very good pun. Yeah. Let's just keep this one short. We could literally just keep it about our draft coverage mostly. About what's ahead.
I think we went long in that last segment. I forgot my stopwatch there, so we are probably around the 50-minute mark. So we'll wrap it up. Wrapping up the Pride of Detroit POD cast. For those of you who don't watch live, we just had a very long thank you to our community because it is a community now, and I want to express that again on the podcast itself, because I think sometimes we get a little in love with the live audience, which is great because the live audience is very generous to us. But I don't want to leave anyone recorded out of it, because for all the things we do at Pride of Detroit, this is now like a keiretsu. It's like a vertical empire or horizontal empire where we've got our toes in everything now. It's not just a blog anymore. It's a blog. It's a podcast. It's social media feeds. It's a Twitch channel. It's a YouTube channel. Across the board, it's a Discord server. We have toes everywhere. We have people everywhere watching us, showing us an insane amount of love, which is what the mustache was about. And I'll let Jeremy speak on that in a second. But I mostly bring this up because we're coming up on the draft. And the draft is one of the biggest times of our years. We get, for our podcast, the most download numbers on Twitch and YouTube. We get the most live audience numbers. It is a moment of hope, usually, for the Lions to get a guy who will help turn things around. So I totally understand why. And coming off a pretty rough year for the Lions, coming off a pretty rough COVID-19 year where we're all stuck inside, it's been kind of awesome. Our numbers have gone through the roof. Yes, I am being annoying podcast guy talking about the numbers. But it's to you guys because it's a community now, and we try to interact with our community. So if you want to find new ways, if you're listening to the podcast the first time, you want to find new ways to reach out to us and see what we're doing, by all means, check out the Twitch, check out the Discord. We have links everywhere. We need to compile them in one place. But yeah, it's been awesome. You guys are awesome, and go Lions.
Yeah, and yeah, just to jump on top of that, the draft stuff is some of the most fun stuff. It was kind of really what kicked off our live streaming thing last year, and we'd been doing it for a year or so before that. But the live draft show is just so much fun because you get our live reactions to picks. One of our most viewed clips of all time is us reacting to the Jeff Okudah selection, and yeah, that might look foolish a couple years down the line. It doesn't look great right now, but we were all extremely excited, and I know the live audience was really excited. And we don't get to share those moments a lot live streaming because people working on the Lions are writing during a Lions game. They're writing during live events. We're going to be writing on draft weekend as well, but we want to share that one moment that we all normally share in the confines of our own home individually. We want to share it collectively with you guys. So if you're listening to the podcast and you've never joined one of our live streams, I would say draft weekend is the time to start because we're going to have half the staff is here. We're all having a party, and it's a lot of fun. I'm very excited for it.
If you do miss it, it will be recorded. It will be on all the feeds. It will be messy. It will be a Zoom call with whoever wants to show up. Draft week has always been for Pride of Detroit. Just show up. You want to jump on? Great. Fantastic. Alex Reno, who hasn't been on the POD cast in like 4 years, he might show up and he'll still act like he's still part of this, the bastard.
And I'll have a blue mustache. If that's your kink, we got you covered too.
I'm not going to say anything there. Wow.
The only thing I got to say is I'm going to miss Kent's bowler hat. That's the biggest loss of the offseason.
Kent might show up still too.
We'll try to drag him in at least at some point. That's the thing. We'll try to have like a rotating guest too. Maybe we'll bring in Brett again. I know Eric and I are going to be busy on the night, so we're going to be in and out, but hopefully we can bring Eric in for a good amount of time as well.
Yeah, I'll probably be hosting that live stream, and then Jeremy will just jump in whenever he's done writing and sweating over the written content, and getting asked on Lion Zoom calls, why is your mustache blue? It'll be fun. It'll be very fun. But let's talk about what it means for the podcast feed going forward. So this week, Jeremy, I think we have another guest lined up for First Bite, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, we literally just mentioned his name, and unless something tragic happens, Kent Lee Platty will be joining us live on Wednesday night. It'll probably be a little bit later on your podcast feeds to talk about all the defensive prospects. If you don't know Kent, he's MathBomb on Twitter. He is the developer of RAS, Relative Athletic Score. He knows every single thing there is to know about the athleticism of this year's class. So we're going to grill him about the defense because we talked about the offense with Brett Whitefield. Live, we'll be doing another mock draft Thursday on YouTube and Twitch. On Thursday night, I don't have a definitive time there yet. And then our live Q&As on Locker Room will continue this Saturday, 10:30 a.m. on the Locker Room app. You can join us live. If you miss them, we record them and throw them right here on our podcast feed. So we'll be continuing that throughout this week. Next week, we'll be doing a full-on POD cast probably Monday night. We're not, we haven't committed to a day or time there yet. But that's going to be like a mock draft type of thing where we're going to lay out our own plans, me, Chris, and Ryan, of what we want the Lions to do. It'll be our official draft preview episode, and then that's probably going to be it in terms of podcast.
You're going to have did you mention Locker Room?
Yep. Locker Room Saturday.
Okay, I got distracted a second. Okay, yeah, there is Locker Room there. That's your last chance to get in there. What's up?
Obviously, there won't be a Locker Room Saturday morning the week of the draft, so just stay tuned to our social media, and hopefully we'll figure out a day for that.
Yeah, probably Sunday or something. But we're going to have podcasts then when we hit the live show. Thursday's the big one, and it'll hit your feeds Friday mornings if I can manage it. I've just picked up some extra hours for my work, so it might be a little delayed. I apologize if it is. But I do have to get up super early on the West Coast to go to work on Friday. Friday, day 2, we will be live again and doing all that stuff into the wee hours of the night as the Lions put in the then we're not going to be live for day 3. I think, Jeremy, there's only a couple.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We might do it, but it won't go on the podcast feed. But then come Monday, we'll recap everything on a brand new PODcast and start leaning into the off season from there. And we'll try to get more in depth about all these guys, let you know who the Lions have drafted and what it means for the season upcoming. And then we have to start sweating out May, June, July, and then football's back.
Yeah, it's kind of around the corner. I mean, we're near the halfway point of the offseason, right? I think maybe we've hit the halfway point of the offseason, or we're very close to it.
It's always long. It's always very, very
When did
long.
the offseason start? Did it start in November, or did it start when they were officially finished?
I mean, you could argue it started a couple days after Thanksgiving, right?
I'd say before
I think I was
that.
feeling it during Thanksgiving.
Yeah, seriously.
The moment the picture of Sheila Ford Hamp doing this, that was when the offseason started.
Man, it's just so much. All right, let's wrap. I want to wrap this up then. So we talked a lot about positions. Do you guys want to rank where you put priority for all of these positions, for positions of need? I would say
By need,
want to just do that real quick.
rank it by need. Sure.
Yeah.
Not
Quick list
talking about
cast.
the prospects.
Say that
What?
again.
Not talking about prospects, because, like, for example, maybe linebacker is a pretty big need, but
It's not a
maybe
great
you
class.
don't necessarily view the prospects
Right.
as talented. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I would say leave best player available aside for right now. Maybe if you want to consider it in the rankings, because there isn't going to be any good linebackers in the first round. If you devalue linebacker a bit there, like I was just going to go ahead and start. I would say offensive tackle is my number 1 right now, just because, again, I know who's there on day 1. So that's my number 1. Number 2, then wide receiver. Number 3, linebacker. 4 would be safety / defensive backs in general. 5 would be D-line. And then quarterback, running back, special teams after that. And tight end, I just throw in with wide receiver because there's only one tight end in this draft, and he might as well be a wide receiver.
I think I would go wide receiver first, just because there's not a number 1 on the team now, and there's no one beyond 2021. Safety is probably second. We talked a little bit about that already. Offensive tackle or guard. I mean, there's just one need there, maybe 2. Linebacker. And what am I forgetting? Anything else? Those are like the top 4 or 5 needs. I'm okay with where everything else is.
John?
All right. So for me, I think wide receiver is going to be the top need. I know you guys aren't going to agree with this, but my number 2 is going to be quarterback. I'm still not sold on Jared Goff, and I think if you got a guy like Fields or whatnot falling into your lap, I think that's very tempting to take. Number 3, I'm going to put down at linebacker just because both short-term and long-term, I don't really know what the Lions are going to do at that position. It's kind of a similar thing with safety and cornerback, which comes in at 4 and 5. Then after that, I have defensive tackle at 6. Then I have offensive line all the way down at 7. I'm actually pretty confident in the offensive line. I think even if they don't draft anyone, I think they could still be an above average unit. Then I'm going to put number 8 as a defensive end. I don't think it's a huge need, but you can't go wrong with having pass rushers. And then we're going to put running back at number 9. I don't want them to touch that. And tight end in the more traditional sense. I don't want one.
I like it.
I like it.
No
All
to
right.
care. No to care. That's in 1,000.
Yeah, like if it's not Pitts, I have no interest in the tight end position. It's kind of funny like that.
I mean, that being said, like, they're not set long term at tight end. They could use a developmental blocker, right? Like,
Oh no, they could. Yeah, absolutely, sure.
But I think you can get those guys anywhere.
Sure.
Like the thing is, the Lions don't have that 6th and 7th round pick where you draft those kind of guys. So obviously,
Right.
there's probably going to be some trade downs. So probably get that pick back eventually. But I'm not in a rush to get a guy like that. They're replaceable.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fair.
All right. I think we should just wrap it up there then.
Let's do it.
I think we've hit over the hour mark. We've gone long on a few of these segments, so we're just going to wrap it up here. Again, as always, reiterating, you guys rock. You guys rule. This year, we are going to be turning 6 years old for the POD cast this year. Hasn't happened yet. That happens. I think we hit that mark. The birthday is somewhere in August, I believe.
Yeah.
But we're at like 5.5 now. So I keep saying it all the time. I've said it when I thought I was going to lose this podcast, and then somehow was able to come back in like 6 months after that, once we figured out the wranglings. 9 months after that, once we figured out the wranglings of everything. And I say it now as we just raised a crap load of money for no real cause here. But we have also raised over $2,000 for a real cause. And we'll probably be doing charities again at some point, because at some point Jeremy's going to have to regrow this thing, because it's going to be November again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the live community and the written community, the podcast community, we're all extremely giving in 2020 and in 2021 so far. So we're going to make sure that continues.
This is a power, guys. This is a real power we have now. And I will say we are punching above our weight, like little old lions out here. And all of Pride of Detroit is making a lot of the other SB Nation teams have to step up, because we're a small town team, and yet somehow we're just kicking ass. Lions power, baby.
We got them other SB Nation bugs shaking in their boots.
Wow, that's what
That's
you
somehow
get.
better than actually dyeing the mustache.
That was a freebie, chat.
No. That was a freebie where you can, if you have enough channel points on Twitch, request Jeremy to talk like Macho Man Randy Savage. But we close it up here. For myself, I am Chris Perfett, the Purrin Ferret. I hate doing that when it's just myself. I don't like making my own nicknames. Thank you, Jamal Williams. Jeremy Reisman, Fearless Mustache, and the Blue Mustache, soon to be shaven, and just back to the Fearless Leader, Editor-in-Chief of Pride of Detroit, and John Whitaker. No real nickname for him. We will have to come up with the Canadian. We'll just call him the Canadian Connection. Yeah.
Angry Canada geese.
Angry Canadian geese noises. We'll just do that. Squawking Canadian geese. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much. And I'll just do the classic sign off this time. We'll see you Starside. All right. Let's get rid of this bot. The loony. All right, we're sticking around for a little bit here. I'm just going to kick the bot.
What was your nickname again, Chris? Something Ferret?
Purring Ferret, because I told Jamal Williams.
Introducing the Purring Ferret. Chris
You just have to go see the Jamal
Pride
Williams
of
interview.
Detroit.
Like, how he does it is just so weird. But I love him.
Chat, you guys are crazy.
That interview with Jamal Williams, if you haven't seen it yet,
It's fantastic.
You really need to. Like, he was fantastic.
And him and Deuce Staley, that's going to be a fun room to be in. I mean,
And Carry On, right?
Carry On,
Yeah.
and I don't actually know that much about Swift, to be honest.
He's kind of quiet, but
yeah.
David Rainford, thank you for the 100 bits. Appreciate it. With the Bible thump. Oh, are you okay, buddy? Or was that for the bot?
The bot. Which bot? Oh, the recording bot.
Oh,
Voted off the
Sorry.
island.
voted off the island of humanity.
So one sec. Someone was knocking at me.
I've watched the JW feed at least 12 times. The Jamal Williams.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. I haven't watched it back yet, but I think I will.
Going in my demo reel once I finally get a demo reel together.
Yeah, but Chad, this is the part where, again, if you're new to the channel or the live streams, we'll answer some live questions here and there. We'll also show you our pets if you want to see our pets.
Yeah,
but we just
Ricky's
kind of relax at the end here.
so he's just kind of chilling. I'll let him chill.
Yeah. POD is the first podcast you listen to? Hey, podcast. Another 100 bits from David. Appreciate it, buddy. But yeah, I don't know. You guys had a bunch of questions before that we didn't really answer, like actual football questions, because we were too busy being blown away by all the support from first two segments, which again, you guys, I don't even have words. What was the cat's name again? I forgot.
Salem.
That's right.
It was a feral cat. He's turned out pretty well. He's just chilling. I guess you guys might not be able to see it.
Thoughts on Simi Fehoko? Is third, fourth round too early? I have not heard that name before.
I can't say I'm
Stanford.
that. He's from Stanford.
Stanford, right? Okay.
Brugler's got him as the 16th best wide receiver. He says that third, fourth round is kind of right in his wheelhouse.
So I know he blew. I'm just reading real quick. I know he blew. It seems like he blew up pretty well, and he was kind of a breakout player in 2020, as much as you can be on a shortened Pac-12 schedule.
Right. Yeah. That's the problem. They only played six. Yeah. He only played 6 games, but he had 574 yards.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of a victim of circumstance there. But you know, anytime you take a shot on a guy like that, it's all projection and it's tricky. But you know, 6'4" 222, big bodied receiver. What did he run? 4.43, so pretty darn fast too.
Yeah, although it doesn't from what I'm reading on the I'm reading a Tony Pauline scouting report. He doesn't really play to his 40-yard dash time. He's not really a very big bursty guy. He's more of a very big. He's just a big wide out. It's very physical wide out.
And I could see a guy like him getting overdrafted because, as we said on the podcast itself, like there's just a lot of burners in this draft. A lot of burners and slot guys. If you want a big kind of outside presence that's physical, maybe you have to reach a little bit, and since there's so few of them, take one a little bit earlier. And you know, he's a risk because, you know, he hasn't had that proven production yet. But I'd say he's a guy that could definitely go in that third, fourth round, maybe even a little bit earlier.
One name that I've seen thrown around quite a bit that I'm really not high on is Anthony Schwartz. He's
come up with
out of
draft
because he's the fastest man in the world, right?
Yeah, because that's my problem with him is that he's a track. He's a track guy playing football. Like, you know, the common
that
like
out for us.
thought is like,
I mean, that didn't out for us when we had Javid Best.
It worked out for a season.
No, but like, because he's a speedster didn't mean that was why he got concussed.
But his size kind of did play a part, right? Like,
you get knocked around. Also the position, but
sure.
You know, like my issue with Schwartz is that he's essentially like, you know, people, they say like, oh, what if we put Usain Bolt on the football field? How would he do? Well, he'll be fast going straight, but that's about all you're gonna get. Yeah, I think one thing that actually surprised me is I thought Schwartz would test out as a pretty good athlete, and he actually wasn't. Like, his speed was obviously good, but I think his like agility and even his explosion weren't that great, if I remember correctly. So,
excuse me.
Yeah, no, here's an RAS of 6.91, which is not good. Maybe if you had better explosion, you'd be.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing to run just like super fast, like cool. You can run a go route, but like, yeah, you're gonna have to at some point figure out how to deal with someone defending you.
Yeah, and I mean, I lost my point. I'm sorry, I sneezed it out.
No, it's fine.
I will say,
okay,
go ahead. I just wanted to bring up one more guy that I kind of wanted to mention on the podcast, but I didn't really want to go there. I actually think fullback is a slightly realistic option for the Lions. I'm not like it's like I don't know if Nick Bawden is really that guy. Like, he's either been hurt or he's been bad.
Right.
And I don't know if Jason Kaminda is going to be that guy either. I mean, he's still very much a linebacker playing fullback. And like a guy like I've heard a lot of good things about is Ben Mason from Michigan. So
that's where I was hoping that conversation was about to turn.
Yeah, because
I love Ben
Ben
Mason.
Mason is a guy who he's not the traditional just plow ahead kind of guy. He's a little bit closer to Kyle.
Juszczyk.
I think it's Juszczyk. I always forget how to pronounce it.
Something like that.
Juice. Anyway,
Yeah.
where he can actually contribute in the passing game and even a little bit in the running game too. Because like I think that was the thing with Nick Auden, and I think he has basically like no touches. Far.
Pretty much, yeah.
Before we get to this list cast that just
Yeah,
got,
he has 4 catches for 17 yards.
we're going to get to this list cast in a second. I do want to address the people's wide receiver that everyone keeps bringing up is Racey McMath, who's become a bit of a meme because of the name, and because of the mock drafts. He is the third. Like that's rough, right? Because you're asking. We're talking about the third LSU wide receiver behind Chase and Marshall. Wow.
Yeah, I mean he would have been wide receiver 1 though, right? Like if those guys if they hadn't gotten those
absolutely.
recruits.
We're talking about three NFL wide receivers out of the same college in the same draft year.
Well, here's another thing about McMath is he's 6'2" and he ran a 4.39 40. That's not too shabby.
No, he's been rising pretty well.
He's got 33 total catches.
Well, he also had a hamstring injury too.
And he's playing behind some top talent. And, he had some poor guy named Burrow or something throwing to him.
Yeah, scrub. Scrub.
He's a scrub. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where McMath goes. I don't think the Lions are going to get him. But
see, is he on PFF's big board? Let's see. For the draft network, they have him at 297.
Where's that rank among all wide receivers?
Let's see. How many names are on a page? I think there's 50 names on a page.
Oh, you can't see that? Okay,
and
fine then.
And he is
like
47? 47, I think.
Apex came back. The wings suck.
Like...
What's the score?
Oh, what are the dead things doing?
By the way, we're at 800 subs now, Jeremy.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to thank Katie. Katie, thank you for the 4 gifted subs. I know you did that specifically so that we could get to 800. Appreciate that. Thank you for the reminder there. That 3-0 in the first.
Things are 3-0 with 5 minutes to go in the first period.
So Racey McMath is not on PFF's big board.
It is the Pride of Detroit promise that we will never go down 0-3 in the first segment. Will never happen. Pride of Detroit promise.
Unless our server dies.
Nope. Stop it. Never going to happen.
On Pro Football Network, Racey McMath is 303rd.
All right. David Rainford 69 did redeem a list cast.
Yes. Players
you are most afraid the Lions will draft.
Well, I already know what's number 1 on your list, Chris.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want Micah Parsons.
Do we want to go into why? Because I feel like we've talked a lot about why. Not to like steal your thunder or anything, but
well, here's the problem: is that I don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah, it's tough to talk about.
It's tough for me on a personal level that I haven't really talked about before. It's tough for me to even. I know I'm being evasive about it. That's how close it is to the surface, though. I'm getting really close to being able to talk about it. I can't talk about it, though. I hate that this is just a character issue that it's been reduced to. This is serious. This is very serious. I know Jeremy listed it among some of it's one particular part of what Jeremy I know has listed in his Micah Parsons article coming, but specifically what he did at Penn State that I find personally offensive to me. I'm not saying he should be banished. I'm not saying he should be canceled, but in the sense that, and I just had this conversation with someone who, because I have a lot of problems with how some sports and how some players go in sports, and they just say, I was just told straight up, then just don't watch sports. That's kind of hard for me to do. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I don't think it's a great big giant ask that guys who cause emotional trauma to people on a level that can violate someone and live with them for the rest of their lives be told you need to go find a different line of work than football. I don't think it's a great big ask. Every other walk of life, it is not a hard ask. For football, like, we stomach it because, hey, he'll help you win ball games.
Locker room behavior, like that.
I had someone, like, again, here we go. I finally invoked Fox Sports Radio. I had a fill-in host over the weekend who I got in this argument with, and he said, "Look, man, as a Raiders guy, I just want him because he'll help me win football games."
Just win, maybe.
And, what's that?
Just win, baby, as you say it.
I don't know. Maybe I'm an idealist at heart. I was brought up to, like, not take the easy way on certain things and to just fight like hell. And it's biting me a little bit because the same thing bit me and really took a lot of my excitement out of the Matt Patricia years. It was really hard for me to run this podcast for about the 3 years we had Patricia, not being able to even talk about what he did because it was no longer newsworthy. And I don't know. I'll write something next week. I'll let you guys know. It's something I've had to deal with for a long time, and it's I don't want to deal with it again with Parsons. I'm sorry, it's getting a little too personal.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Well, one thing that I do want to say about Parsons is, I know there are guys in the past who have had these kind of red flags just for simplicity's sakes. And they've managed to turn it around and whatnot. But so far from what we've seen from Parsons, at least to me, it doesn't sound like he's all that repentant of it. Like, he mentioned, it was an interview, I think it was maybe like either last year or something. And he essentially just passed it off as, oh, he was a kid and he was being dumb. But it's like these kind of things that happened. He's, what, 18?
Yeah, look,
17
getting
or something?
drunk,
Like,
getting
that's
drunk,
stuff that people should know about.
yeah, getting drunk is being dumb at that age. Being irresponsible with money is something that happens at that age. Being not taking a class seriously is being just a kid. Doing what Parsons has done goes beyond that.
Yeah, and that's
I don't know
why
that's such a big thing. Why that's such a big problem for people to deal with. I don't understand.
I think it speaks to a bigger problem that's existed in sports for a long time, and that's the hazing thing. Like, hazing has been a part of sports for far too long, and it's been like you can haze someone without going to sexual assault things. But I remember my high school hockey team. There was heinous shit going on.
Yeah,
like
every school's kind of dealt with that kind of thing, and it's like, I mean, I used to be like, all right, what's the big deal? Just some baseball teams make guys dress up in like Disney princess costumes or something, like, but
I mean, like,
it goes beyond that.
Yeah, and I think too early on, it's like, oh, it's silly fun stuff. We're not being serious, but like, people don't realize, I think, how damaging that can be. Like you said, something that can live with someone for their entire life, and it's been a part of sports culture for far too long. And I think we're coming out of it eventually now that we're seeing it, and we're seeing people actually face, not everyone, but some people face consequences for their actions publicly.
And I totally get that he hasn't been convicted of anything yet, but I think we're also beyond this idea that, like, just because you don't have a jury conviction in hand, that I have to say, oh, I don't know what he did. He did nothing. He did nothing. The law says he did nothing, so you can't hold it against him. Yeah. I reject that. I know that I've got to be careful about that, because you're getting now into laws about, what you can or can't say about something. I know what he's accused of. And I can't say for certain that he did it, but
I think he's acknowledged it.
What?
Well,
He's acknowledged it.
He's acknowledged that he did something. He has not acknowledged specifically. And this is where it gets hard to parse because if you look at some of the, and I go over a lot of this in my article, if you go over what some of his teammates said, what the victim said, it was a group of 3 guys, and it's unclear who did what in some cases. One guy appears to have been kind of the main accused, and it's not Micah Parsons, but Parsons is one of the 3. Parsons did get
was in that group.
What's that?
Too.
Say that again.
Yeah, Peter Gross-Matos, I think, was in that group as well. Yeah,
and I can't remember the name of the other guy, but either way, the one thing that we almost that Parsons got probation for, and it was not like academic probation or probation from games. It was some other kind of probation. Was that he got in a fight? He was choking this individual Humphreys, and to a point where he did not stop. He pulled a knife out. The Humphreys did to get it to stop, and it stopped. That is something everyone has acknowledged happened. It did happen. Parsons got slapped on the wrist
for trouble apparently because like in the words of James Franklin, like he told Humphreys that you should have just let Parsons do what he wanted to rather than pull a knife, which that is horrendous in my mind.
Right.
But I'm also someone who, because of the problems I went through, I carried a knife for a very long time.
Right. So
I understand Humphreys entirely here.
Yeah. And I think even after that, Parsons had a slap on the wrist for some thing that was never really brought to light, but he ended up playing in most of the game anyways. Then there was some stuff in high school and whatever, but I think we all agree that the sexual assault allegations against a group of Penn State players, and again, this is where it becomes hard to parse through what Parsons played a part in that role is not clear. It was never made public.
At the very least, part of that gang was part of that.
He was part of the trio.
So like, he
either committed it or let it happen.
Yes, and like, look, I'm saying all this on a personal level too. I'm not saying this because this might be a bad locker room fit. I'm not saying because it might get him in trouble later on. I'm saying this as a personal fan, as someone who, again, I can't put aside those things, just like I couldn't put aside the allegations against Patricia and say I want this team to see success. And I just don't want to deal with it. I know that's a tall ask, but I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have that conflict every time I see the guy putting on Lions colors. Like, I just don't. And I know other fans who have that problem too. I know Megan, who way back, she joined us to talk about my friend Megan joined us to talk about the Matt Patricia thing, and she's had to go through it herself, be it, she considered her once upon a time like a Bucks and Chiefs fan. And on both teams, she has had to deal with, as a sexual assault survivor herself, deal with the fact that they got guys like Jameis Winston or Kareem Hunt, or I'm missing one other in there. Tyreek Hill. She has to, and it really, those kind of things, people struggle with that. Like, they struggle with that on a very personal, emotional level. Did it end up hurting Yater Gross-Matos? No, these came out after. These allegations came out after, I think.
As far as I understand, he did go through a polygraph. Like, he had to jump through some rings, and he had to deal with things. I don't know if that was during the pre-draft process or not. It must have been, because he was drafted last year in the second round. So
yeah, and I remember most of these reports came out this year.
Oh, that's right. I think you're right. The ESPN
that's
came
why
out
I
in
say,
November.
like, Gross-Matos got past this. Like, he got out in front of this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about other players, though, that I wouldn't want them.
Mac Jones.
I'm actually glad we had that conversation, though, by the way.
Yeah, I know. And, like, I keep putting it on the podcast sometimes, but and then some other times it's rough.
I understand. It can be a lot.
And it's... Yeah. It's a conversation that I know is going to happen tomorrow when my.
And the other thing is that there's a lot of football fans out there who just completely gloss over this stuff because all they care about is on-field stuff. And like, this was me when, like, I really wasn't excited about Adrian Peterson signing for the on-field product.
Yeah.
Especially with the off-the-field stuff, like for me, it became hard to root for him. I mean, thankfully he was bad for the most part, so I didn't have to root for him that much.
Thankfully,
right?
But like, the thing about Parsons is that
for me, it was a lot easier that Patricia ate shit.
Yes, 100%. Well, and that's one of the thing about Micah Parsons is that I think if the Lions drafted him, I think he would be a good player. But it's like I'm gonna be like in a tough place when it comes to actually cheering for him and supporting him until he actually shows some growth and maturity, because I really haven't seen enough of that.
And for me, the Lions football, especially the community we've made and we just talked about, has been such a bright spot of positivity in my life for myself, who is very, I try not to be negative. It's just part of my disposition. I'm not like pessimistic or nothing, but it is hard for me sometimes to just kind of, deal with things. And I like having this little blip of positivity. I like this really cool community. And every time it's a guy like Patricia or Parsons, it stains it a little bit. It makes it hard to kind of, I want to embrace it fully.
So. I mean, not to mention it erases all the goodwill, all the excitement that this regime has given us, right? Like all this talk about kumbaya and positive attitude and guys. I mean, their whole mantra is guys rowing in the same direction, right? Like guys that are getting along and playing for the team on the front, not the name on the back, and all those cliche things. Well, a guy who hates a guy to a point where he filed a lawsuit, he transferred, he couldn't play football anymore at Penn State. That represents everything that against what they're trying to do right now. And again, maybe he's a changed man, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You have to do your due diligence. Based on what I know right now, I wouldn't draft him, but I would also do more information. I would also get to know the person as much as possible, talk to as many people around him, talk to him personally if I can, and all that sort of stuff. But given what I know right now, it doesn't make sense.
All right. Other guys, I mean, how do you guys feel about Smith and Waddle? Like, I feel like, God, where we're at, we just kind of like gloss over both of them right now.
It's so tough because they're paper thin guys, and like the precedent is so poor in history of the draft. Like, I like what both of the guys can do. I think Waddle's probably a safer bet than Devonta Smith, but history is not working in their favor.
Smith has the bloody Heisman, and we're like, I know. We'd rather take two wide receivers in front of him.
I feel like Jamar Chase is probably the safest of the options. Also, side note, I don't know if you noticed it, but you were calling him something else, Chase.
Jamarcus. You were calling him Jamarcus today.
Oh, God. I'm going to get called out on that.
It's okay. But, like, I feel like I think Kent posted something like last month or something about wide receivers drafted who were like under 100.
Yeah, it's extremely rare. But as I said, I think he also still has Devontae Smith as his wide receiver one. Like, he's that convincing.
If anyone's going to break the trend, it's probably going to be him.
Right.
And it's not like
I have to keep harping on this. Like, he's got the Heisman. I don't know how many times I got to keep saying it too. Like, it's crazy to me because I love college football. I know what the Heisman represents, especially for the first wide receiver since the guy from Michigan. Why am I blanking on his name? Jeremy, you're blue.
Wait, Nico Collins. Sorry, I was reading.
No. The Heisman winner from
Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson.
Yes. It's the first wide receiver to win the Heisman since Charles Woodson won the Heisman.
Yeah, he wasn't. He's a cornerback though. He's not a wide receiver.
No. Desmond Howard. Thank you, Chad. Okay. I was blanking on his name so damn hard because I kept thinking of someone else from Michigan. Desmond Howard, the first wide receiver to win the Heisman since Desmond Howard. And we're putting two wide receivers in front of him, and technically three, the way we're going with Kyle Pitts. So I know the reasons why. It's still crazy to me. That's all.
One thing that I will say working in Smith's favor is I mentioned that players of his size is kind of unprecedented, but it's not necessarily a bad one. Like, if you're like a really poor athlete, like let's say you have an RAS of 1, that's a very poor precedent. That's one that's hard to overcome. With this one, the data isn't huge and it's not overly convincing. Like, the fact is, a lot of times when you have these smaller receivers, maybe they're not focal points in offense, but Devonta Smith has the skill set to be that guy. I wouldn't be upset with, honestly, any of those receiving options.
Yeah, and I'm seeing some people saying like, the Heisman's a college marker. Tim Tebow won the Heisman. That's maybe true of quarterbacks in college. When you have a skill position player though winning that Heisman
And he's playing in Alabama too. He's not some no-name defensive backs.
Like, I mean, is the Heisman just a college marker to Derrick Henry? Was the Heisman just a college marker to Mark Ingram? Both. I mean, Mark Ingram had a phenomenal career so far, even though I think he kind of won that over some more skilled people. But I mean, Derrick Henry is a beast.
It's hit or miss. It's not. Heisman is obviously an indication of.
I think we were talking about
something special. It's about how they transfer it over, right?
Right. It's. I would say for the Heisman, if you win it as a quarterback, it is a college marker. If it's anyone else, I think it is an indication of where your skill can be. But yes, for Smith, things can get weird. Yeah. One more name I'll give you then.
Very fair. Go ahead. I just want to make one last note. I'm trying to think of like running backs who have won the Heisman, and I feel like that's a pretty good list. Like you mentioned Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry. I'm trying to think of some other one.
I mean, it also just depends on how translatable the position is to the NFL. Like, quarterbacks are hard. Running backs transfer pretty easily. Yeah. Right? Like, you get immediate production out of running backs, and there's not much of a learning curve.
Reggie Bush, Ron Dane, Ricky Williams,
wide receivers kind of in between those two, because like I feel like right now what we have for wide receivers, there's not a lot of route running in college compared to the NFL.
Well, the other thing is a lot of college wide receivers, maybe run in some gimmicky offense or something where your quarterback is just essentially throwing you slants all day and night. But despite me bashing on Mac Jones, he's still a good college quarterback.
Yeah, they were throwing some deep balls at Alabama.
Yeah, they're throwing NFL routes, and he's catching NFL balls against NFL caliber defenders. And I think really, I don't know if he'll be the first receiver chosen. I'd be surprised if he is. But I think him even being the third wide receiver, I don't think that's an insult to him.
I mean, some of these guys would probably take it as an insult, but like, yeah, no, I think there's no question I'm trying not to do that. Jamar Chase is definitely going to be the first one to go.
All right. I got to get out of here. We got to get going here. Yeah. It is 9:30. Right. I got some stuff to write tonight.
One more prospect that we don't want to draft. Everyone will give out one name. We'll give out one name.
Oh, I forgot that's what drove us into everything. Yeah.
Longest list cast we've done.
I don't know. Any running back?
Are we talking about realistic options? Because I think there aren't any top running backs like that.
I'll go ahead and just throw Mac Jones in there.
Yeah, I was going to say Mac Jones, but I'm going to go outside.
I don't think that low of Mac Jones compared to other people. I don't. I think he can succeed at the NFL level. I don't think he's going to be the quarterback to unseat Jared Goff.
My guy is I know you're probably liking for him, but I'm not really sold on Rashawn Slater. I still kind of view him as more of a guard, and I don't really want to take him that early.
What about a trade down? Take him to 15?
I think trade down more than likely. I'm just, for me, I get flashbacks about Halapuli Vaitai. I'm like, I don't really want a guy who we're not sure if he's a guard or a tackle. I want someone who's firm. He's playing here. He's playing there. If he's wishy-washy, I just feel like that leaves room for tinkering, and a lot of offensive lines need to get consistency to get those guys in sync.
Fair enough.
All right, let's get out.
God knows an offensive line rotation is not.
Yeah, I want to go, and I also want to make sure you guys stick around because I've been wanting to do this raid several times before, and he hasn't been online, but he's finally online. Our good friend Papa Sig is currently playing Dark Souls 3, which is a game I don't see anyone play. But he's a big Lions fan. He's a big Pride of Detroit fan. Please go say hi to him. At least say hi. Stick around for 5-10 minutes. If you want longer, I would love for you to hang around longer. But I know he's a big Pride of Detroit fan. I know he's going to get a kick out of this. Please support our Pride of Detroit family. We're going to go raid him on Twitch. So if you're on YouTube, we're just going to say goodbye to you. If you're on Twitch, go hang out with Papa Sig's stream for a little bit. Say hi. If you want to continue a Lions conversation with him, I'm sure he'd be happy to have one as well.
And if you want to hit real quick before Jeremy does that, if you want to join the Discord, ! Discord, I'll do that right now. Join our Discord. We have more conversations over there.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow with Kent Lee Platty to talk about the defense. Bye. Okay, and
I'm sorry, that went a little long. I know you're pretty